A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
The story you're about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. An elderly woman on her way to the bank has been robbed and beaten senseless. The suspects are cruel, ruthless. Your job, get them.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild. To give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Saturday, August 9th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Ed Walker, captain of robbery. My name's Friday. It was 10:14 a.m. when I got to room 27A, robbery detail.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, Jim.
Hi, Wayne.
How is he?
Won't know for a while.
What did the vet say?
Thinks the dog picked up some kind of poisoned food.
Oh, it's too bad.
Sure hot. You got a penny?
Yeah. Yeah, there you are.
Thank you.
Somebody poisoned, huh?
Yeah. That's what the vet says. I never could figure why some people poison dogs.
I can understand some people not liking animals, but I can't see why they poison food and then just toss it around wholesale loss.
You know how I feel about that dog of mine. If anything happens to him, I don't know what he'll do.
Oh, he'll be all right. Those vets can do wonders these days.
I sure hope so. They told me to check back with him about noon.
I'm about to melt in this heat.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be any air at all.
Well, tomorrow Sunday, guess I'll just lie out in the backyard.
It's going to be good to just loaf around and read the Sunday papers, huh? It's a hot shot.
I'll take it. My wife wants me to get out and get a little color. She says I'm better looking with a tan.
She ought to know.
All right. Will you get married, Joe? After so long, it gets so you believe everything they tell you.
Here's one to roll on.
Yeah?
Robbery and shooting. Victim's car was stolen. You want to get on it?
All right, let's go, Joe.
Bank job. Don't make any plans for Sunday.
10:53 a.m. Ben and I pulled up in front of the Union Trust and Savings Bank at Melrose and Logan. We made our way through the usual crowd that was milling in and around the bank. We spoke with the manager, a Mr. Bill Fore. He told us that he didn't see the actual robbery. The victim was taken in the parking lot next to the bank. Her name was Myrtle Shaw, a longtime customer of the Union Trust and Savings. Fore told us that she always did her banking at the same time each day, around 10 in the morning when the bank first opened. He said she was the proprietor of Myrtle's Cafe, 4 doors west of the bank.
Let us through, please. Sorry, let us through here.
Officer, over here.
Yes, sir.
Friday and Romero, Central Robbery. Did you answer the call?
Yes, we did. Freeman and Welsh, Unit 13R. Ambulance just left. Victim didn't want to go to Georgia Street. Said she wanted her own doctor.
Okay, is she inside the cafe?
Yeah.
Let's go in, Ben. Are you Freeman?
No, I'm Welsh. Freeman's inside.
See if you can clear this crowd a little, will you, Welsh?
Right.
Thank you.
All right. You've seen everything now. Now, let's move along.
Come on.
The black on your street there. There she is, over in the last booth. Freeman?
Yes, sir.
Friday and Romero, central robbery. Is this the victim?
Yes, that's right. Her name's Myrtle Shaw.
Miss Shaw?
Yes, that's right.
My name's Romero. This is Sergeant Friday. We're from Robbery Division downtown.
You men detectives?
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Yes, all right. I hope you can catch the men that did this.
Well, we're going to do all we can.
It's a little hard for me to talk. My face is so swollen. It hurt something terrible.
What happened?
One of them struck me,
Yes, ma'am, we know that. You want to tell us how it happened?
and I was on my way to the bank. I drove in the parking lot there next door.
Yeah?
I just got out of my car when these men walked over to me.
You're only 4 doors from the bank. Do you always drive such a short distance?
No. I just picked up my car from Edgar's filling station. I have it greased once a month.
I see.
Where was I?
You'd just driven into the parking lot when these men walked up to you.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, one of them said, just hand over the money and there won't be any trouble. The other one said, this is a gun in my pocket, Grandma.
Yeah?
My head's splitting. Did someone call Dr. Van Hale?
Yes, ma'am. He's on his way.
Oh, thank you. Well, I carry my day's receipts in a cloth bank bag. I had it in my purse, and I wasn't sure if they knew I had any money.
Yeah?
I told them I didn't have any. And I was going in to draw some out, and one of the men said, look, old-timer, we don't want to get rough. Just hand it over. We know you got it.
What'd you do?
Well, I turned and started to walk away, and I saw this one man's arm flash out of his pocket, and then something hard like a rock struck me on the side of the face.
Must have slugged you with his gun.
Oh, yes, it couldn't have been his hand. I don't think he could have cut my face like this with his hand.
You should have let them take you to the emergency hospital.
No, I don't want to go in an ambulance. I want my own doctor. He'll know what to do.
The ambulance crew gave her first aid. She wouldn't let him take her.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Miss Shaw, would you know the men if you ever saw them again?
Well, I think so, yes. One of them looked like the worst kind of a hoodlum.
And then they got your money, huh?
Oh, yes. And they tell me they got away with my car, too.
How much money did you lose?
$116.23.
Do you own this cafe?
Yes, I do. It's a small place, as you can see. I do all the cooking and serving up to 11:30 in the morning. Then I have a college girl that waits on tables in the afternoon and evening.
Do you think those men have ever been in here in the cafe?
No.
Have you ever seen either of them before?
No, I never laid eyes on them before today.
How about the girl who works for you? You think she's ever seen them before?
I don't know. You can ask her. She should be here soon. What time is it now?
11:20.
Yes, she'll be along any minute. Oh, I wish there was something to stop this aching.
We know you must have a lot of pain, Miss Shaw, but we've got to ask a few more questions so we can get right on this.
Yeah, I understand. I'll tell you all I can.
Ben, do you want to get the dope on the stolen car and a description of the man? I'll call the office.
Right.
Say, is there a payphone I can use here, Miss Shaw?
Yes, right over there behind the fountain.
Thank you.
Do you need change?
Yes, ma'am, I'm afraid I do.
Well, just help yourself in the cash register there.
Thank you. I put in a dime, taking out 2 nickels.
Oh, well, now, that wasn't necessary, young man. You didn't have to tell me.
Well, I know, but we don't like to open other people's cash registers.
You're a police officer, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
I trust you.
That seems to be the reason a lot of people don't. I called the office, and as fast as Ben repeated the information, I phoned it in. The detailed information was broadcast to all units. The stolen car was a 1946 green Ford sedan, license number 1X-ray 1898. All units were instructed to be on the lookout for the car, and if found abandoned, to notify robbery detail immediately and keep the car under surveillance until we arrived. I called in a description of the suspects and the fact that the money was taken in a cloth bag stamped Union Trust and Savings. Myrtle Shaw's doctor arrived, and she was ordered to bed for rest and treatment. Ben and I interrogated all the possible witnesses in the parking lot, and we found only one man who saw the actual robbery. His story compared to that of Miss Shaw's, but he could add nothing more. We talked with a young college student who worked in the restaurant. She didn't think she'd ever seen the men in question. We drove back to the city hall and went to the stats office. They made a run for us on the descriptions and M.O. that we had, and we pulled the packages of all possible suspects that the machine sorted out. We narrowed and sifted the 24 possibles down to 12. We took the mug shots out and showed them to the victim and the one witness. They could not identify any of them as the 2 men in the holdup. 2:35 p.m. Saturday. We started to canvass the neighborhood, door to door.
That takes care of Logan Street for 1 block, both sides. Want to start here on Melrose?
Okay. Let's try this drugstore.
I'm on fire. Paper says it's supposed to hit 99 today.
I believe it. Come on.
Yes, sir?
Police officers. We're looking for a couple of men. Here's the descriptions. I wonder if you'd read this and tell us if you've ever seen them.
Yes, sir. We got time to have a coat.
No, we better not. It's getting late.
No, I'm afraid I've never seen anybody who answers either one of these descriptions.
You sure?
Yeah, quite sure.
Well, thank you. I'll have to have that bag.
Oh.
Let's go.
Is it just my imagination, or does it seem to be getting hotter to you?
Talking about it doesn't help.
I've tried ignoring it. That don't help neither.
Let's try this bakery.
How do you do, gentlemen?
All right, police officers. Wonder if you'd read the two descriptions listed here and tell us if you've ever seen either of these men.
Yes, of course. No.
Sure smells good in here, doesn't it?
No,
Yeah.
I don't seem to recall anybody that looks like this.
Anybody else in here who might have seen him?
No, I don't think so. I wait on trade.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Let's go.
That smells just like good old apple pie, doesn't it, Joe?
We're baking Danish coffee cake at the moment.
Oh.
The next place here is a plastic factory.
Yeah, looks like they're closed half-day Saturday again.
Somebody in there cleaning up. Guess he didn't hear me.
Oh, here it comes.
Yeah.
A lot of money in this plastics business.
Mm-hmm. Really came into its own during the war, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The plant's closed Saturday afternoon.
Police officers. Wonder if you'd look this paper over and tell us if you may have seen two men answering these descriptions.
All right. I have to put my glasses on.
Yes, sir.
There now. I don't need them for sweeping, just reading.
All right, here you are.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
What was that?
I said, what do you think? Have you seen him?
Well, I don't know.
How do you mean?
I'm not sure yet.
Hmm?
I'm not sure. I may have seen one of them.
How about the other one?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know about the other one.
But you do remember seeing one of them?
I might have seen both of them.
But you're not sure.
I don't know.
Well, do you want to tell us what you remember about the one you did see?
Oh, don't you want to know about the other one, too?
Well, yes, sir, we do, but I understood you to say that you didn't know about the other one.
No, I don't.
Well, you just tell us what you know, then.
Then you want me to just forget about the other fella?
No, sir, but if you don't know, it's all right.
I might know.
Yeah?
I haven't read about him yet.
Oh.
You asked me a question just as I finished reading about the first one. I was just starting on the second one at that time.
Yes, sir, sorry.
What was that you asked me?
Wasn't important.
Then I'll read about the second one.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I seen them 2 or 3 days ago, both of them.
In this neighborhood?
Yes, sir, right around back in the parking lot.
They work here?
No, sir, they don't. Seems to me I've seen them a couple of times.
What were they doing?
I don't recall. I just remember I've seen them.
You sure?
Yes, I'm positive. One of them had on a brown suit, the other gray, just like it says here. The descriptions fit all right.
You have any idea where these men might be now?
No, sir.
We're investigating a robbery. We want these men for questioning.
I wish I could help you more. I do know I've seen them, but that's about all. I don't know their names.
All right, sir. What's your name?
Seth Williamson.
We'll leave you one of our cards, Mr. Williamson. If you see him again, appreciate you letting us know.
Yes, sir. Sure will.
Let's go, then.
Wish we had something more definite to go on. If we just had a picture of the guys.
Yeah, it'd help.
There's a vacant lot in the corner. Finishes out this block.
All right. Let's double back on the other side of the street.
Right. Sure hot.
4:30 p.m. We continued knocking on doors, checking every place that was still open or showed any activity Saturday afternoon. We talked with hotel managers, janitors, and cleanup men at the different factories or business establishments. We checked grocery stores, private homes, everywhere that we could find anybody to show the descriptions to. By 6:15 p.m., the only person who showed any sign of recognition of the two hold-up men was still Seth Williamson, the janitor at the plastics plant. Before we took time out for a sandwich and a cup of coffee, we drove back to the city hall to check the office.
Hi, Friday.
What do you say, Marty?
A couple messages for you here.
Thanks.
What's the matter with you, Romero?
I'm dehydrated. That sun almost fried me.
Oh, Joe, that one caller from your mother said tell your dog's out of danger.
Oh, that's fine. Called in around 2, huh?
Yeah. That other one's from some guy who says he wants to talk to you right away. Been calling in since about 3 this afternoon.
Seth Williamson, eh? Called 4 times.
Yeah? Said tell you he'd wait at that number there. They heard from you.
I'll call him right now.
Been hot downtown, boy?
Pretty warm, yeah.
Any kickback on that stolen car?
No, not yet.
Benson Plastics.
This is Sergeant Friday, Police Department.
Oh, yes, I'm glad you called me back. I think I've got a little more information for you.
Yeah?
Those 2 fellas you were looking for, did you find them?
No, not yet.
Well, I just remembered what they were doing out back there in the parking lot.
Yeah?
They were taking pictures
Of what?
of the 2 girls that was with them. I remember now. There were 2 young women with them. One was a blonde, and the other I don't recall.
How were they dressed?
The blonde had on a white shirt of some kind and a black dress. That's all I can tell you for sure.
Who was taking the pictures?
First the fellas took the girl's picture, and then the girls took snapshots of the fellas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williamson.
Oh, it'll help you.
Yes, sir, it will. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
What do you got?
They've had their pictures taken.
Yeah?
Let's find the prints.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of Miss Nancy Appel, a night news writer for one of the world's great press services. This is her actual signed statement.
When you're working hard, smoking more, it's nice to enjoy a really mild cigarette. I've found the king-size cigarette that has this quality above all others. That cigarette is Fatima. Because it's extra mild, Fatima is always more enjoyable. That's why I agree. It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And more smokers agree to that every day. Actual figures show Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
The long cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
Ben and I figured if we could possibly turn up the photographs that had been taken, we'd have something more definite to go on. We still had a lot of doubts. Maybe the janitor, Seth Williamson, was wrong. Maybe there were no pictures. If the snapshots had been taken, maybe they were still on the camera, undeveloped. With any kind of fast service and processing, the photos could have been picked up by now. We figured it was worth the chance and the time involved to check the lead out. All we had was the victim's scant description of the 2 hold-up men, and if we could possibly turn up pictures, it'd help a great deal. If Williamson was right, we'd have another lead, the 2 girls. 6:40 p.m., we started checking drugstores, going through all prints that had not yet been picked up with the customers. We'd made the rounds of all the drugstores in the neighborhood earlier in the day, but we double-checked the descriptions of the 2 men with the personnel in each store. By 9 p.m., we'd checked out 10 drugstores and found nothing. We were going on the hunch that the photos would most likely be dropped off for processing somewhere in the immediate neighborhood. It was only a hunch, and we were running out of drugstores.
Police business. We'd like to go through your photos that have been left for developing.
Yes, sir. Here's the box right here.
Oh, thank you.
I'll take half. Not very many this time, huh? Oh, don't forget to check the negatives, too. Sometimes they don't print them if they're bad.
Yeah, I know.
No, nothing in this one.
People sure take a lot of pictures of babies, don't they?
Yeah.
Nothing. These are sure fuzzy. Pictures at the zoo.
Pictures of Yellowstone. Ben.
Yeah?
Pay dirt, maybe.
Let me see. 2 guys. 2 girls.
One's a blonde, white blouse, dark skirt.
Look close.
Now, let's see. Left by a Marion Lang, 223 East Bexel.
Oh, Claire.
Yes, sir?
You want to double-check us on this envelope?
Yes, sir.
This date and time right here, 3:30 p.m., August 6th.
Yes, that's correct. That's when the films were left for processing.
3 days before the robbery.
Did you ever see this woman in the picture before?
Let me see.
This
Oh,
one?
yes. Yeah. She comes in here quite often. Miss Lang is her name.
How about these men or this other girl here?
No, I've never seen them.
When were these prints supposed to be picked up?
I waited on her. She told me she'd pick them up yesterday.
Well, we'll have to take these photos along with us. They'll be returned.
All right, sir. How will I explain this to Miss Lang?
If this is the right address, you won't have to. Before we left, we called the office and had a stakeout placed in the drugstore in case Marion Lang tried to pick up the photos. We checked the address she gave on the envelope, 223 East Bixel. It was a small apartment building near the corner. The manager told us that Marion Lang had moved out the morning of August 9th, the day of the robbery. She left no forwarding address. The manager knew nothing of the other girl or the men in the photos. We checked with Myrtle Shaw, the victim. She positively identified the two men as the ones who robbed and slugged her. She knew nothing of the two girls. Hadn't seen them before. We put out a warrant on Marion Lang and gave the photos to Lieutenant Frank Cunningham in the Record Bureau. Monday morning, August 11th.
Morning, Frank.
Hello, boys.
Any record on the guys?
Nothing we could find, no. I'm having copies sent out right now.
Kind of thought maybe if we came up with pictures, we'd be halfway home.
Maybe we are.
How do you mean?
I had Tony make some blow-ups from the negatives. Full of grain. Probably taken with a cheap box camera of some kind, but it might help.
What'd you find?
I just checked the enlargements. They were still in the wash, but I think we got something. Let's go over the photocopy.
All right.
Yeah, good and clear now. Clear as they'll ever be, anyway. There we go. I had 16 by 20 enlargements made. This will show you what I found.
Yeah?
You guys take a good look at the face of this one man here.
Thought we did. Why?
It's pretty hard to see on those small prints. Look here. You see the nose on this one?
Mm-hmm.
I'd guess it's been broken one time or another, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You see here? Scar over the left eye, scar over the right eye. A couple of them.
Yeah?
Look at the right ear. See how mashed it is?
Hmm.
We couldn't come up with any names for you, but I'll bet it'd be safe to guess his line of work.
Looks like a prize fighter.
Nothing in the oddity file. I checked and double-checked everything I could lay my hands on here in the department. I don't place him if he was a boxer of any standing.
I know where it's going.
Isn't much. Wish I had something else for you.
It's a lead, isn't it?
Might be.
It's more than we had. It was possible that one of the two hold-up men in the photos could have been a professional fighter. From his appearance and build, we felt it was a fair guess. We took copies of the snapshots to the State Boxing Commission, Los Angeles branch. We spoke with a Mr. Farmer, who couldn't seem to recall the man from his picture. We went over the description that the victim had given us. Farmer said that he knew a great many of the fighters because at one time or another they all check in and out of the commission before a bout. But the man in the snapshot remained unidentified. He checked through several hundred cards bearing the photographs of boxers in the files. No luck. Farmer suggested that we try the Spring Street gym where the out-of-town fighters get into shape and the boxers in-town train. We left him a copy of the photograph and our card so that he could continue checking back through his files. It was 10:22 a.m. when we got to the Spring Street gym.
Here's the manager's office.
Come in.
You the boss here?
Yeah. What can I do for you?
Police officers.
Yeah?
We're looking for a man we think might be a fighter. I wonder if you can help us out.
Sure try.
I'm Sergeant Friday. This is my partner, Ben Romero.
Hi. My name's Charlie Coleman.
Here's a couple of photographs for you to look at, Mr. Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen this fellow on the right?
Let's see here. Let's walk over by the window, get a little light on him. Wait a minute. Used to work out here all the time a couple of years back. Name's Billy. Marshall, yeah, that's right. One of them named Billy the Kid Marshall.
Is he still around?
Oh, gee, I couldn't tell you. It's been a good 2 years since I seen him up here.
Any idea where we might locate him?
I doubt it. Used to be a Benny Farber stable. Benny's been east now over a year. Let me check back through my locker listings. Maybe I still got something on it. Let's see. Out cards. Yeah, that's what we want. Let's take them over here by the window where we can read them. As I recall, Marshall wasn't much of a fighter. Father nursed him up through the prelims, got him the semi-wind-ups. He started hitting the bottle. Played the dames. Oh, yeah, here we are.
Can I see that, please?
Oh, sure. Here you are. Billy the Kid. Big, beefy boy. Real sucker for right cross.
1637 Carver Avenue. That's the last address you got on him?
Whatever the card says, yeah. Real sucker for the old right cross.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coleman.
You're welcome, boys. Anytime. What's he done?
We just want him for questioning.
Oh, I see.
If you should hear from him, don't tell him we're looking for him.
Let's go. Thanks again.
What do you think he did wrong?
I don't know. How do you block a right cross? We called the new information into Captain Walker, and he sent a crew of men to the Boxing Commission to check further. 1637 Carver Avenue. It was a cheap rooming house on the west side of town. Marshall hadn't lived there for over a year and a half. The landlady gave us a forwarding address. The next place hadn't seen him for a year. We kept checking and rechecking, going from one end of town to the other. Each place was a little better than the last. It was easy to trace Billy the Kid's rise in the fight game, such as it was, by the condition of the places he lived in. We covered 6 different rooming houses, boarding houses, and apartments. Each time his residence had been a little more recent. 5:15 p.m., Monday, August 11th. We pulled up in front of the Sunflower Hotel, 433 Banyan Street. Rates, $2 a week and up.
Nobody at the desk. I'll ring the bell.
How do you do?
Police officers. Have you got a Billy Marshall registered here?
No, no one by that name here.
You take a look at this picture. Either one of these men live here?
Oh, sure, that's Tom Green and George Martin, room 9.
They in now?
I could buzz their room and see.
No, never mind. Room 9, you said.
Yes, sir, that's right.
Let's go.
Room 9.
Cover me.
Right.
Yeah? Special delivery letter.
Slip it under the door.
You have to sign for it. All right, stand still, police officer.
Stop, Tom.
Watch it, Ben.
Take the other one, Tom. Joe, look out. All right, hold it right there, Marshal. Get over there against the wall. You, get up. Over there with him. Move. Give me a hand, Joe. I'll help you up. You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
There he is, Joe. Looks like his picture. Fits the description.
Except for one thing.
Yeah?
He's no sucker for a right cross.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 27th, 1947, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 81, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to extra mild Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, Extra Mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the king-size cigarette that is extra mild.
Extra mild because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give it a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Both William Marshall and his accomplice were found guilty of armed robbery and grand theft auto and are now serving their terms as prescribed by law. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet transcribed from Los Angeles. Screen Directors presents Lucille Ball as Miss Grant tomorrow on NBC.
Detective Bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Jack Webb is Jeff Regan, Investigator. Hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of the man who lived by the sea.
The next time you're out for a drive, pick up Olive Street along about the 700 block. You can't miss it. It's a big building made out of white granite. The Cosmopolitan Building. Anthony J. Lyon, the guy I work for, rents an office there. International Detective Bureau, Suite 308. A couple of rooms with a connecting wastebasket. The Lion has the only desk in the office and the typewriter that Remington dropped from their catalog back in 1915. I walked in about 11 o'clock last Tuesday morning. The room was loaded with taboo. She was a tall girl with a flock of black hair and a mink coat. The kind you see driving a Nash convertible down Sunset Boulevard on warm Sunday afternoons. No wonder the Lion's cigar was out. It was wet on both ends. He had one arm around her shoulders. He knew by this time that coat was the real article. There wasn't any music, but he didn't seem to mind.
Come on in, Regan.
Not much room to dance.
We got business.
She's your date.
This is Mr. Regan, Miss Kara.
How do you do, Mr. Regan? Mr. Lyon tells me you're just the man I want.
Well, he said the same thing to a mortician last week.
Miss Kara is associated with the famous psychic consultant, Prince Nemo.
I help the prince look into people's minds.
Well, that ought to be fun if all your customers are under 6.
You don't believe in thought transference, Mr. Regan?
Do you?
Prince Nemo sent Miss Kara to retain an operator.
Why didn't he come himself?
Prince Nemo never appears in public.
He misses some good ball games.
He has television.
Yeah.
The prince prefers to spend his time in meditation and thought. I handle all of his outside contacts.
Regan, I want you to drive out to Prince Nemo's home in Ocean Town with Miss Kara and speak to the prince.
What kind of a retainer did he send you?
We don't discuss finances in front of clients.
Oh, this is another blind spot. You don't know what this guy wants?
He said it's a very delicate matter, and he wants to explain it to you himself.
Oh, sure. She waltzed in here with a check, and you'd sell your grandmother to a glue factory for $2.
Is there any way I can reassure you, Mr. Regan?
Buy me a battleship.
You got a license and a contract with International.
You want to tell me about it, lady?
Prince Nemo was very excited this morning. He called me in and told me to make the arrangements.
It's not enough script.
He never tells me anything. I just work for him. Will you please?
Yeah, all right.
Here's a nickel. Call me and tell me what's up.
Suppose I can't.
Then you got something for your piggy bank.
The Lion stood there and watched us leave. He looked happy, like a hobo in a bubble bath. Well, we went downstairs. We climbed into her convertible. The guy in the parking lot had to take a walk around the block when she flashed him a smile. I asked her about lunch. She said no. I asked her about dinner. She said something that meant no. It's like that sometimes. The flag's up, the meter's ticking, and you get nowhere. But from a couple of things she told me, I got the idea that she was doing more than help the prince read minds. His place turned out to be a good hour from Los Angeles up 101. A couple of stories of glass and concrete leaning out over the ocean. Inside, a guy in a white turban and some pants that looked like oversized diapers put his hand on a big curved knife he had in his belt. He was wearing tennis shoes.
Right this way, Mr. Regan.
Butcher?
That's Guinea, the prince's manservant. He's from India.
I bet the Indians were glad to get rid of him.
Guinea's harmless, tongueless, and he doesn't hear. I like you, Mr. Regan. And this is the prince's study.
Come in. Oh, come in.
This is Mr. Regan.
Of course. Welcome, sir. Welcome. The Lion's Eye. I'm honored, sir. Please sit down. That'll be all, Lena?
Of course. I'll be in my office.
Charming girl, Lena.
She handle all your outside contacts?
Except for those matters I must attend to personally. Mr. Regan, I'm in trouble.
It's paid for.
I want you to save my life.
You look healthy.
I am healthy, let me assure you. But my life has been threatened.
They got police department.
I thought you understood. This is a delicate matter. We aren't here to discuss me.
Who's the guy?
It's a lady, Mr. Regan. A very beautiful and lovely creature. And she'd like nothing better than to see my carcass go out with the tide.
How do you know?
She's erratic, ill-tempered, and ruthless.
Any more?
Yeah, she called me this morning and told me what she intended to do.
You got a chance to reach for your gun.
To reach for you, Mr. Regan. Now, I feel the entire matter could be settled amicably if you were to call on her and inform her you are my personal bodyguard and that you are here to protect my life.
What makes you figure she'd go for that?
It's worth a try. And besides, I'm paying.
Mm-hmm. Now tell me how long you've been blackmailing her.
Blackmail? What do you mean?
Oh, your racket might last 6 months, a year, but not long enough to build a place like this. The answer's blackmail.
My dear fellow, Okay, so I should have told you.
Give it to me.
Well, I can slip them into a trance. They spill a family secret or two.
What kind of secret?
Any kind. They want their minds read. I read them. $25 a hit.
Where does the shakedown come in?
When I tell them what they told me.
You been putting a squeeze on her?
She's an actress. She was in on a deal with the studios.
And she won't shake.
She said she'd blow my head off. Look, I'm in a spot rig, and she's the kind who'd do it and make love to the jury.
Give me a name.
Doris Patrick. Ever heard of her?
Where's she live?
Palisades. Here's her address.
All right.
You going over to talk to her now?
Well, she isn't gunning for me.
Oh, thanks a lot, Regan. You know, I've been sweating.
It's real good for a cold.
Yeah, I'll try and catch one.
You guys yell real loud when they answer back.
I'm just thinking of my future, Regan. I won't look good dead.
I left him sitting there scratching his bald head under his turban. He looked unhappy, like somebody fed him a Vaseline sandwich. Well, I climbed in my car, and I followed the highway to the turnoff back to Sunset. The Malibu fog was coming in for the winter, and by the time I got to the address Nemo'd given me, I was looking around for my hands. Doris Patrick's place was too big for a marble game and too small for football. There was a wire fence all around it and a sign every 15 or 20 feet or so that said, not to trespass. I parked in the boulevard and walked up the driveway. It was about then that a guy in a blue suit showed up. He was tall and heavy, and he caught a lot of his hat. He pulled down on the brim, blew smoke in my face, and kind of nudged me with his shoulder.
Well, go on, Pilgrim. We don't want any.
How do you know?
We're waiting for the 49s. Scram, huh?
You aren't even on the list.
All right, we'll wait for the 50s. Blow.
I came to see Doris Patrick.
Yeah, what for?
You, her?
Sure. What do you want?
Business.
Shop closed.
You always like this, or you missed lunch today?
Look, I don't know who you are, Pilgrim, but you don't understand English.
Well, I know you. There's something about a guy in a lineup.
Yeah?
He memorizes easy.
Cop?
Private.
Private or city, you all smell the same to me.
Hunting season's over. You always carry a .38, do you?
Oh, that's showing?
Well, maybe you got a broken rib.
Well, I met all kinds of funny guys.
I said I wanted to see her.
Ain't in.
Watchdog?
Now you're getting smart.
Well, you aren't.
What kind of crack is that?
Just this. I'm going in.
Trick I learned a long time ago. You shoot a guy in the knee and he don't ever walk straight again.
Ever done it, punk?
Oh, sure. That's how I learned.
Mm-hmm. That's when I learned, baby. He slumped against the side of the wall, and he looked tired, like he'd been running from Compton. Well, I left him there, and I went up the driveway to the porch. Coming around a blind corner, I bumped into something that kind of relaxed and rolled into me. It was a blonde girl, about 25, in a white polo coat. I was willing to try it again, but she began talking with a voice that was deep enough to go in the oil business.
Oh, I thought you might be running interference, but you look like the whole team.
Whose side are you on, lady?
I keep score.
Doris Patrick?
You're on the right field.
Where's the locker room?
Maybe I like you. Where do you come from?
Right here.
Didn't know we raised your kind anymore. Or did you go wild?
Do I pass?
What'd you say your name was?
Regan.
Welcome.
Mm-hmm. Which highway?
Straight ahead. To the den.
Nice place you got. When's harvest time?
I said welcome.
That isn't what the tall boy said.
Tall boy?
A blue suit with a .38 and a hat.
That'd be Jesse. I was married to him once.
What about now?
Oh, he hangs around like that sometimes. I never see much of him. Trouble?
No, not much.
You got a lot of size, mister. Must have been good. Do that kind of thing often?
Only when I have to.
Sit down. How do you like it? Soda or water?
Your way.
There now. Isn't that better?
I don't know. This is my first drink.
You'll get another. It's a cold day.
Nothing here.
You're quick. Must have a good straight man.
His name's Prince Nemo.
Must we talk about him?
He thinks you're dangerous stuff.
What do you think?
Right now or when I'm a couple of feet away?
Now.
Hey, now look, remember me? I just got here.
Your name's Regan, and we're going to get along.
Yeah.
It's in the cards.
You got a fast deck.
Go ahead. Deal.
All right. How much time between rounds?
Yes? Who? Oh, just a minute. You know somebody named Lion?
Yeah.
He has quite a roar. Here.
Yeah.
Who's the name? Where's the phone?
Nemo's friend.
Sounds like he's a friend of yours.
All right, you got something to say?
It's all off.
Check bounce?
It was certified. Nemo called 10 minutes ago and canceled the contract.
Well, what happens now?
Finished, come back to Auburn.
Who told you I was here?
The Prince.
It was a quick change.
We got paid.
Well, I already started something.
I don't care what you started. You finish it on your own time. Next bench, Shayne.
Bad news?
Well, I'm through working for the day. Well, I was an old friend of the family when I left. She didn't want me to go, but I was thinking about Prince Nemo and the way that nothing made sense. Oh, the whole thing looked phony, like an undertaker in a white derby. It didn't take 20/20 vision to see that somebody was getting anxious to make a play. Well, by the time I got home, I figured I was out of it. But my company had other ideas. It was Jesse, and he had friends.
You should lock your door, Regan.
Why? You'd crawl under.
All right, fellas.
Friends?
I just hired him.
You got a parade permit?
Stan, say hello to Regan.
Hello, stupid.
What about Skinny?
Hiya, Grogan.
Name's Regan. He's a detective. Isn't that right? You're pretty good with your women, Regan.
You know, you look lonesome, Jesse. You got something to say?
Stay away from it.
You're shaking. You want a drink?
Already had one. Stan, Skinny, set him on a bed.
Let go.
Oh, Regan, once more. Once more. Stay away from it.
You said that before.
I want to make sure you understand. Stan, Skinny, hold his arms. I've said all the right words. Maybe my punctuation's bad, huh? Lay off. Period. Lay off. Period. Lay off. Period. Okay. Okay, leave him on the bed.
Hey, he rolled off.
Oh, that's fine. Fine. Now he won't have to change his sheets.
Oh, Jesse was good. When I got up, my face looked like a relief map of Pasadena. He was wearing a signet ring. He left out some of the boulevards, but the Rose Bowl was right out in front. I found a drink in the cabinet, and I started for the mirror to see what was left. It was about then I heard a knock on the door. He was a little guy in a cab driver's suit. It figured that he got the job because they ran out of big uniforms. They double-crossed him on that cab. If it wasn't for his ears, he'd have been wearing a snood.
Hiya.
Yeah?
Football?
What do you want?
Your name, Regan?
That's what it says on the mailbox.
I met a friend of yours today.
Get to the point, will you?
A dame named Lee McCarra. Yeah, Lee McCarra. Come to this.
All right. You're in the register.
Wait, that ain't all. She wants to see you.
What about?
Didn't say. Just said to see if you was home. You home?
Yeah.
I got her down in my cab.
We'll send her up.
I don't think she can make it.
What do you mean?
She looks kind of funny. Maybe you better come down.
She was sitting on the edge of the seat, staring out at nothing. Her back was as stiff as a filing cabinet, and there was a little ring of white around her lips. I paid off the cabbie, and I took her back up to my place without a word. When we closed the door, she was sitting on my sofa the same way. Only this time she had a .25 automatic in her hand.
Well?
Where'd you get the gun, lady?
Gun? Oh, yes. I bought it for $30.
Can I see it?
Oh, yes, Mr. Regan. I brought it so I could show it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I paid $30 for it. $30 for it.
Yep. Brand new, isn't it?
Oh, yes, of course. Did you know Prince Nemo was my husband?
Since when?
Long time now. Not many people know that.
Did you come here to tell me that?
No. No, I came to tell you that you don't have to worry anymore.
About what?
what my husband hired you for?
Well, I've already been called off.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did you meet Doris Patrick?
Yeah?
And it was about her.
What do you want, lady?
Nothing. Nothing at all. Just that we don't have to worry anymore, do we?
Tell me about the gun.
Doris is very pretty, don't you think? I've seen her on the screen many times. And she's quite pretty. Could hardly blame the prince at all. Could hardly.
Why'd you bring the gun?
I imagine the air would be cleaner there, don't you?
What are you talking about?
Really very humane, they tell me.
Come on, stop it.
Just like sitting down and never waking up. I read all about it. Just walk in and sit down. You don't try to hold your breath.
Stop it, sis, stop it. Now listen to me. What is it? What have you done? What are you trying to say?
You don't try to hold your breath. You go right to sleep, don't you?
You're trying to tell me that you killed him?
They don't make such a great deal of noise, do they? They've been sitting there in his house by the sea. He looked very much alive, only... He isn't alive at all. Tell me, Mr. Regan, tell me. Do I make a good murderer? Do I?
Well, after she got through screaming, she settled down to a slow, even kind of giggle that started somewhere around her shoelaces and didn't get past her knees. Gave me a feeling like somebody was unwrapping an atomic bomb under a Christmas tree. Well, she wasn't going to do any more talking, so I went downstairs and brought back a doctor friend of mine named Sammy Wing. He had his little black bag with him, and he gave her a shot of something. She wilted like last night's orchid and went to sleep. Sammy wrote down a couple of things, and then he looked up at me.
Some playmate. Wish I'd have been here for the party.
How is she, Sam?
You know her better than me.
Oh, is she going to be all right?
In 4 or 5 hours, she'll wake up and want some water.
And then what?
She might ask you what happened, or it might start all over again. By the way, what was it?
I don't know. She came over to see me.
I should have visitors like this. I've been working too hard.
She said she killed a guy who was a client of mine.
Maybe I'm lucky at that. Why the past tense?
The Lion called me off the case.
Official, huh?
Yeah.
You've got nobody to protect. Where's the corpse?
At a house in Ocean Town.
Here, call the police. And you and me can go out and do our Christmas shopping.
Oh, she said she used this gun.
A .25, it killed people.
No, Sammy, there's a bullet jammed in the chamber.
James don't know how to reload.
It hasn't been fired.
Ballistics got better ways of telling. She's pretty and she's nice, and I'll bet she looks like $1 million in a bathing suit. But if I'd have met her within the last 3 hours, I'd have run for help.
Is that professional?
Acute hysteria. The kind that pops off guns and people and does a lot of things they can't remember later on. Call Sanducci.
Look, it doesn't figure she'd do it with this.
Maybe she had another one. While you're at it, call the coroner. Tell him to go out there with some DOA forms.
No, I'm going first.
Corpse hunt?
Just an idea.
Labrucherie had an idea.
Yeah.
This dame's dipped somebody, and she's told you her story.
Well, I don't like it.
What do they do when a private eye messes up an open and shut murder case?
Sammy, stay with her, will you? There's some bourbon out in the kitchen.
Maybe both of us will get our pictures in the papers.
I left him sitting there. He looked sad, like a water buffalo caught in a drought. I pushed through the fog for about 40 minutes, and I pulled up in front of Nemo's place in Ocean Town about 9:30. It was dark enough to give a ghost the creeps. I used that ring of keys that I'd taken from her purse, and I went inside. It smelled dry and still, like somebody was waiting for the world to fall apart. I clicked on my flash, and I walked down the long hall to his office. Well, he was there, just like she said. There were 3 holes in the front of his shirt, close range, but it wasn't the laundry's fault. He'd been dead maybe 2 hours. The desk drawer showed some canceled checks made out to Doris Patrick. While I was thinking that over, I spotted a .38 Smith & Wesson on the floor by his hand. Lynn had been carrying a .25. I broke it, and 3 cartridges fell out. From the looks of the holes in his chest, the .38 was the gun for the job. Well, that made her story and the .25 a fairy tale. While I was kneeling there, a light went on behind me. A fat man wearing a sheriff's star was standing by the switch. A tall leather jacket with a flashlight in his hand was in front of me. I began to feel helpless, like a trombone player with a short arm.
Scavenger hunt, son? You don't talk, Charlie.
Ain't much for him to say, is there, Cap?
Yes, not. Well, son?
You're going to might be calling me names.
What do you like best? Killer, murderer, slayer? Papers use slayer a lot.
I don't like any of them.
Kind of breezy for a hot boy, ain't you? You might give me a name?
Regan. I'm with the International Detective Bureau.
It's Regan, Cap. He's with the International Detective Bureau. Got a card or something, son?
Yeah, here.
This guy here, a friend of yours?
My client, Lawrence.
What'd you do for him? Okay, tell me this. Why'd you plug him?
There's another story.
Any good?
Better than the one you got.
You'll have a hard time selling it.
It's a fix.
Oh, why you want to say a thing like that?
How long you been on the force?
Easy, Regan. Me and Cap's being nice. Phone call a little while ago. Funny kind of voice. Said we'd find a stiff here. But didn't say we'd find you. Yeah, you're extra.
The dame who worked for him told me.
You tell homicide?
No.
That was a mistake. Where's this girl now? Name? Charlie. Call a coroner. Oceantown is just a small place. Only me and Charlie around. We borrow from the county when we get something like this.
Well, I can find you a real answer in an hour.
You got ideas?
Lots of them.
You can tell me all about them later. We got a corpse, we got a suspect. You know that's good. Even a weapon.
I'll have an alibi when you check the time of death.
We'll worry about that later on. All right, son. Let's go.
Well, I had about as much chance as an elephant in a tea room if those two locked me and booked me. I leaned back into his gun, spun around, knocked his wrist down. He pulled the trigger. But I'd already hit the light switch, and he was making rockets in the dark. I left my car there and cut across the highway and doubled back up the hill. They spread out in the wrong direction. An hour later, I was standing in front of the lion's door. He was wrapped in a bathrobe big enough to keep all the silkworms working overtime.
What do you want, Regan?
Information.
You been drinking?
I've been working.
That Lena Carras here?
You sent her.
She called me and said she wanted to hire you for something else.
After Nemo canceled the contract.
Yeah, why?
You gave her my address.
I thought you ought to talk to her. What she want?
She told me that she killed the prince.
She can't do that. We got a contract.
Well, it's already been done.
We're in a spot.
Yeah, I figured that'd get through to you.
They'll be asking me all kinds of questions.
Well, why didn't you think of that before you signed?
What are we going to do?
You're going to find out where this 25 came from and if anybody fired it.
Huh?
She was carrying it when she came to me.
I don't want to get involved.
Well, you're in it up to your ears. I went out there and found the prince. Only a 38 might have done the job.
Yeah? Well, that cleans her up.
Not yet. The Oceantown sheriff and a guy named Charlie are looking for me.
What for?
They think I know something.
Do you?
Not yet. There was a tip-off. Somebody was supposed to be a patsy.
Where's Kara now?
My place with Sammy Wing.
I'm going to get a lawyer. It'll look good.
All right, give me the keys to your car.
Why?
I got a date.
Find out who fogged Nemo and we won the championship.
You'll have to give the cup back. You cheated. I drove back out to Doris Patrick's place in the Palisades, and I rang the bell and waited. Took her a while, but she showed. She was wearing a filmy kind of a thing that made a spider's web look like canvas. I began to feel warm, like a sun lamp on a picture set.
We had a date at 9 o'clock.
I broke my watch.
Come in, I'll see if I can fix it. I'm great with a swift movement.
Yeah, it shows.
We were going to look at the stars together.
How long you been here?
Well, I gave you up at 10. Tell me, how do you like my new dress?
It's the right color, but the wrong cut for a funeral.
I haven't read the obituaries today.
No, it'll be in tomorrow's paper.
Have a drink and let's wait for tomorrow.
Your friend Nemo was killed tonight.
He was no friend of mine. I told you that.
So did he.
He fall off his house?
Murdered.
We've been having fun up to now.
You know, you'll be first guess.
I don't think I like that.
He tried to blackmail you.
The story's backwards.
Well, that's the way it comes out.
Not quite.
You got another way?
He never tried to blackmail me.
Mm-hmm.
I blackmailed him.
How?
I went to him one day and put him in a trance. Only I used scotch. I found out what he was doing and how he was doing it, so I turned the tables. It was good, clean fun, but expensive for him.
Well, now, if he was your meal ticket, then you have an alibi, huh?
Could be canceled checks somewhere.
Right where I could find him.
I'm telling you the truth.
Where does Jesse fit?
Oh, I told you we were married once. He's jealous.
Did he know about Nemo?
Maybe.
He was watchdog when I came out.
I told you. Jesse.
Hello, gorgeous. I still have a key.
What do you want?
You.
Get out.
You Still tramping with his tramp?
Just in time, Jesse.
You know, you didn't list good. I told you to lay off.
Where's your friend?
Paid off? I'm handling this alone.
We've been finished for a long time.
Oh, it's starting up again, Angel. Or didn't you know Nemo was dead?
I saw your 38 tonight, Jesse.
Ah, you're wrong. It's her 38. It's got her prints in it.
What do you mean?
I put him there. And you're going to be tagged for his murder, ain't you? You see, you're sort of in a spot.
Regan.
Easy, baby. This punk never did anything right.
Huh? Tell me how wrong I've been.
All right, that tip to the Ocean Town cops was wrong. Killing Nemo was wrong.
Ah, you're twisted, Pilgrim. Cops got a warrant out for you right now. Yeah, I heard it on the car radio. Murder suspect. Plugging you is something they'll thank me for.
With her prints on the gun?
Well, how was I to know? I just see you and plug you. Everybody will be sorry, but it'll be manslaughter and suspended. It's pretty right, isn't it?
Well, what about me?
A friend of mine shoving off at Pedro tonight, Angel. Going all over the world. We'd be together. Well, Angel, do I plug it and meet you somewhere in 2 weeks, huh? Move over, Regan. The lady's making up her mind. Now, what do you like?
Oh, it was a real photo finish. Just as Jesse set the gun up against my head, Doris pulled a gun from the desk drawer and threw a couple of fast ones into him. Jesse tried for her. I'd call it a dead heat, but you'd have to give Doris the edge. Her first slug cut him down like a blade of grass, but she didn't give up. Well, he's all used up.
Never shot anyone before.
You look like a professional. Give me the gun.
He deserved to die. Didn't he? Didn't he?
I don't know, lady. You knew him better. Well, it all unwound like red thread in a Levi factory. Nemo told me his phony story so he'd have a good self-defense angle when he finally got around to killing Doris Patrick some afternoon. Jesse worked for him to keep me out, but I bounced him and got inside. When Jesse phoned Nemo about it, Nemo called the Lion and had me jerked before we could compare notes. I guess Jesse went kind of crazy when he saw how well we got along. He got an idea and killed Nemo and made Doris a patsy with those fingerprints. Lena Cara? Well, she went kind of crazy, too. She found Nemo dead and got the idea she did it. It took 3 doctors a couple of days to tell her what really happened. And the Lion was mad when he found out there wasn't any money in it. But then when he saw Doris Patrick's picture in the paper, he got kind of curious. He asked just one question. What did I do all that afternoon I was out in her house? Well, I didn't even bother to answer him.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. The story of the man who lived by the sea returns tonight by special request and was written by E. Jack Newman, produced by Sterling Tracy. In tonight's cast, the role of Doris Patrick was played by Yvonne Patey. Also heard Sidney Miller, Peggy Weber, Paul Frees, Marvin Miller, and Barry Crozier. Music for this program is by Milton Charles.
You're about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A woman has been murdered, her identity unknown. The body shows the marks of a savage attack. Your job, find the killer.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke extra mild Fatima. Yes, Fatima is the king-size cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild. to give Fatima a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, December 25th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Blaine Steed, captain of homicide. My name's Friday. It was 39 minutes past 5 a.m. when I got to San Andreas Cathedral on 1st Street. Churchyard. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Joe. Body's over here.
All right.
Merry Christmas, huh?
Yeah.
Section from the church found it about an hour ago. Have a look. Pretty brutal.
Yeah. Okay. Who is she?
No identification.
The coroner checked the body yet?
Yeah.
How long she been dead?
When it started raining. About midnight, didn't it?
Yeah. The ground's dry under the body.
Oh, been dead 5 or 6 hours, I'd say.
Ben get here yet?
Yeah, he's helping Claudio check the area.
This park here, is this all a part of the church grounds?
I think so. I was stuck out of this rain for a minute. There's an alcove over there by the church.
Yeah, look. How much we got to go on, Dave?
Not much. Motive looks like robbery. Found a woman's purse near the body. Pretty well picked over. Purse is wet. Lee Jones is dusting the contents for Chris. Coroner's checking.
Any idea what the killer used in the woman's face?
The coroner figures a sharp instrument of some kind. A nasty one.
Yeah.
Friday, you look wet.
Hi, Lee. So do you.
Everything happened on Christmas. Purse was soaking wet.
Ordinary black handbag.
Raise any prints on the stuff inside?
Not a one. Here, you can check the contents.
Thank you, Lee. Let's see. Small comb. Most of the teeth out of it. 3 pennies. Hairpins, mirror, lipstick.
That's it, Lee.
A couple more things.
Yeah.
This fountain pen, this door key. Armstrong found them in the grass a few feet from the body.
Can I have a look at those?
Yeah, it's an ordinary ballpoint fountain pen buy them in any drugstore for 69 cents.
No sign of rust on the key. Must have been dropped recently.
Maybe this will explain what happened to her face. Broken beer bottle.
Where'd you find that?
Laughlin found it back in the bushes over there. These jagged edges here smeared with blood.
Mm-hmm.
Too much rain. Can't do anything about prints till it dries.
Can you get enough from these smears to run a precipitant?
Think so.
Lee, got a minute?
Yeah, Ben, what is it?
Oh, hi, Joe.
Hi.
Claudio found a set of footprints over by that clump of shrubbery. Rain hasn't spoiled them yet.
Did you cover them?
Yeah, I think you can get a pretty good cast from them.
Better get a picture of them right away. Hey, Charlie.
Right with you, Lee.
I'll get the stuff from the car. You mind giving me a hand, Dave?
Oh, sure.
Well, this takes care of Christmas, Joe.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to check the body yet?
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Well, there's no sign of struggle. Could have happened after a Christmas Eve brawl, maybe.
Yeah?
Whoever the victim is, she was probably acquainted with the killer. The two of them came in the park, and the victim got it before she knew what was happening.
Might work easier if we find out who the victim is.
And we can check her prints through R&I when we get back to the office. What'd those footprints look like?
Seemed like a heavy print, maybe work shoes of some kind. Want to see how Lee's making out?
Yeah, let's go.
Gonna miss Christmas dinner again this year. Footprint, fountain pen, and key. Where do we start?
It's a cheap pen. They sell thousands of them. Want to smoke?
Oh, thanks. Footprints will help convict the killer. Gotta find him first. Thank you.
I don't know. Maybe we can work a switch.
How's that?
Find the lock that fits the key. 9 a.m., Christmas Day. Sergeants Dave Arroyo, Robert Claudio, Ben, and I went back to the office and took stock of what we had to work with. It wasn't much. The woman had been murdered. Who was she? Why was she killed? Who was the killer? Dave and Claudio had the dead woman's fingerprints taken, and they were run through the record bureau. Ben and I checked with Lee Jones at the crime lab. The results of the precipitant test showed that the type of blood found on the broken beer bottle matched that of the victim. From the cast of the foot impressions found at the scene of the killing, Lee estimated that they were made by a person approximately 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing about 160 pounds. He figured the foot gear must have been of a heavy type, either a boot or a dress shoe with thick double soles, size 11. 9:40 a.m. We checked in at the basement of the Hall of Justice, the county morgue. Doc, how's it going?
Oh, there, Joe. Death caused by multiple fracture of the skull, slashing the face with a contributing cause. I sent her close to Lee Jones.
Yeah, we know. No laundry mark.
Well, I got two things. Maybe they'll help, maybe they won't.
Yeah?
The chemist's report here on the blood analysis shows the victim was drinking. She was definitely under the influence at the time she was murdered. 0.12% alcohol in the blood.
Mm-hmm. How about the murder weapon, Doc? We gonna rule out that beer bottle?
I'm just coming to that. Step over here.
Yeah?
This mark here on the side of her face, brown smudge.
Well, Jones says that shoe polish. He analyzed a few of the particles.
Ties in. The cause of death was brought about by severe blows in the head and face.
Heavy shoe, huh?
That's my guess. Probably a boot or a work shoe.
That doesn't add, Joe.
How do you mean?
If they were heavy work shoes the killer was wearing, why would they polish? How many people polish their work shoes?
Could be waterproofing.
No, Jones says it was a brown paste polish.
Then it doesn't figure.
Unless the killer was wearing some kind of dress boots.
Cycle boots, maybe. Hundreds of kids on motorcycles wear them.
Yeah. That's going to be about as helpful as a key or a cheap fountain pen.
Huh? Excuse me. County morgue, Tyson speaking. Yeah, all right, Frank. I'll tell him. Cunningham at R&I wants to see you right away.
What's up?
They made the victim's prints.
During the war years, a complete file of pictures and fingerprints had been kept on all persons employed at local defense plants. Out of this file came our first major lead. The victim's fingerprints matched those of one Maria Camacho, 38 years old, formerly employed at Universal Aircraft. Her address in 1945 was listed as 9230 Sheridan Avenue. Ben and I went over to the crime lab, picked up the key and the fountain pen found near the body, and drove to the Sheridan Avenue address. The house was 3 blocks from the churchyard where the body was found. A young woman with a baby in her arms answered the door. She identified herself as Elena Gomez. She told us Maria Camacho was her aunt. They were expecting her for Christmas dinner late that afternoon. We told her what happened. When she recovered from the shock, we questioned her and her husband, a furniture worker.
So hard for me to believe. Why anyone would do this to me?
When's the last time you saw her, Mr. Gomez?
She was around last night, Sergeant. She brought the presents for the kids. Always brought them presents on Christmas.
Did she live here? Was this her permanent address?
No. She stayed with us during the war when Ray was overseas. When he came back, she took a room down the street. I can give you the address.
All right. What time did Maria leave the house last night?
Well, let's see. Must have been around 10 o'clock. Not much later. Don't you think, Elena? About 10 o'clock?
Yeah, that's right. Go see what those kids are doing, huh, Ray?
Yeah, all right.
Did Maria have anything to drink here last night, Miss Gomez?
Yes, we shared a glass of sherry together, that's all.
Could you tell if she'd been drinking before she came here?
Oh, it's Christmas Eve. I guess she'd had a few. Why?
Was she a pretty heavy drinker?
Not usually, no. Maybe on the holidays, though. We like to get out and have fun, living alone and all that. Poor Maria.
Oh, did she drink at home, or was there some particular place she liked to go?
A cantina down on Soda Street. She used to go there.
Any others?
A couple of bars on Brooklyn Avenue. I don't know the names.
What did Maria do for a living, Miss Gomez?
She took in some dressmaking. Worked for herself. She wasn't poor, wasn't rich. Her landlady could tell you about her friends.
Kids are hungry, Lana. Dinner's getting cold.
Sorry that we had to break in on you like this.
Well, it's all right, Sergeant. It's just the kids.
Ask the officers if they want some mince pie, Ray. Cup of coffee.
No. That's all right, Miss Gomez, thank you.
Just one more thing. Would you look at these, please? This pen?
Sure, that's Maria's. Look, right, Maria's pen.
Mm-hmm. Now, how about this key?
No, I never saw that before.
Neither did I.
Well, thanks very much, both of you. Sorry to hold up your dinner.
Oh, that's all right. I'm not hungry. Hey, maybe I could fix you a turkey sandwich.
No, thank you, Jeff. The same we have to be going. We'll contact you later on. Here's our card.
All right. I can't think of a reason, Sergeant. Why someone would kill her. Why would they kill Maria? Poor Maria.
Come on, come on.
Nice kid. Seem to be having a good Christmas. Too bad we had to spoil it. We drove down the street to the rooming house where Maria Camacho stayed. We talked to the landlady and the rest of the tenants, who failed to come up with a lead. They told us Maria Camacho drank a little, but she was always pleasant, easy to get along with. We checked her room. We went through stacks of Spanish-language newspapers and magazines. We went through her bills, photographs, her letters. We found nothing. There wasn't an item in the small apartment that could help us. We went through the entire rooming house, trying each door with a key that we'd found for the body. It didn't fit any of them, not even the door to the victim's room. 5 p.m. There was a lull in the rain. We picked up Dave and Claudio and started to explore the only lead we had. The victim had been drinking a few hours before she'd been murdered, probably at a neighborhood tavern. For the next 6 hours, we canvassed every bar in the vicinity. 11:15 p.m., Christmas night. The four of us met in a combination bar restaurant at Brooklyn and Soto for a bite to eat.
You had as much luck as we did, huh?
Nothing, Dave. Everybody we talked to knew the woman. Nobody saw her Christmas Eve.
We picked up the names of a dozen friends of hers from the bartenders. Checked them out. They couldn't tell us anything.
Well, we still got another dozen bars to cover at least. She must have been in one of them last night.
Wish we'd find it. My wife's sure mad.
You got company, so's mine. All right, gentlemen. Who had the grilled ham sandwich?
I did.
All right. And the 3 hamburgers?
Yeah.
There we go. Our plate.
You got some ketchup, please?
Sure. Say you wouldn't like a little eggnog to go with that. It's good. I make the batter myself.
No.
Hey, there is something you can do for us. Yes, sir? Would you look at this picture? All right. See if you can identify this woman. Sure looks like Maria. Yeah, that's her. You know her?
Was she in here last night, do you know?
Yeah, she was.
What time was she in?
Oh, about 11:30. Why?
Was she with somebody?
Oh, half a dozen of them at least. Maria, another woman, and 4 or 5 men.
Were they drinking?
Well, they were well behaved. Just had a little Christmas cheer, that's all. They liked my eggnog.
And what time did Maria leave? Do you remember?
Well, no, not exactly, but she left before the others. They closed the place. You fellas cops?
Did she leave alone?
No, Tony followed her out. I think it must have been sometime around midnight. I'm not sure.
Who's Tony?
Tony Perez. He's busboy here. He knows Maria.
Where's he now?
Christmas. He's off. Lives in a hotel down the street someplace. I don't know.
Time fit? Maybe the key does. Dave and Claudio started to check the neighborhood to locate the hotel where Tony Perez stayed. Ben and I continued our canvass of bars and restaurants in the area. 1 a.m., the rain started in again. We checked in at a bar on Brooklyn Avenue near Cornwall, the Cantina Sinaloa.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen?
Police officers. Would you look at this picture, please, see if you can identify it?
Wait till I dry my hands. I'm just getting some of these glasses out of the way. Let's see.
Never see her before?
Oh, yeah, that's Maria. Too bad. I read in the papers about it.
Can you tell us if she was in here last night?
No, I didn't see her. I read in the papers about it, though. Terrible. Poor Maria.
Is it possible she might have been in? You didn't see her?
No, I always know when Maria's here. She was always full of fun. She liked to sing. I better get these glasses finished.
Ben, you want to call the office?
Yeah, okay.
How about a drink, Sergeant? You don't look so good.
You got any coffee?
Not very fresh. It's been standing there a couple of hours.
Well, that's all right.
Okay. Here. Here's the sugar.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's not very warm, huh?
Oh, that's okay.
What do you think, officer? The guy was crazy?
I don't know.
He must have been crazy. Lots of nice rain. That's good for the farmers.
Yeah.
Sure.
You ever see this key before?
Let's see. I don't know. Joe.
Yeah.
Dave and Claudia found the hotel that picked up Tony Perez. Took him in.
What did he tell him?
Dave says they're talking to him now. He won't say much.
Did they find anything on him?
He's wearing a pair of dark brown boots.
Yeah.
Well polished.
You are listening to Dragnet, the case history of a police investigation presented in the public interest by Fatima Cigarettes.
If you smoke a long cigarette, it will be in your interest to listen to a typical case history of a Fatima smoker.
It's the case of skater Larry Jackson, one of the stars of the Los Angeles Ice Capades. This is his actual signed statement.
When the excitement of the show is over, a mild cigarette is important for smoking enjoyment. I found Fatima's the most enjoyable king-size cigarette because it's extra mild. I agree, it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And so do more and more smokers every day. Actual figures show extra mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself.
The king-size cigarette, which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make it extra mild.
You will prefer Fatima's much different, much better flavor.
You will agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The best of all long cigarettes.
Monday, December 26th, 9 a.m. We checked Tony Perez through R&I. He had a record of 7 arrests, but no convictions. During the past year, he'd been booked on suspicion of 211 PC, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, and second-degree burglary. In each instance, he'd been released for lack of evidence. All of his shoes and clothing were brought to the crime lab for examination. 9:25 a.m. We brought Perez back to the interrogation room. He admitted that he had been with Maria Camacho Christmas Eve, but he denied having anything to do with her killing. He told us that after he had left Maria, he'd gone to a party at some friend's house. Dave and Claudia went out to check his story. I gave them the key found near the body and asked them to try it on the door to Perez's hotel room. Ben and I continued to question the suspect.
How well did you know Maria Camacho, Tony?
I told you already. She was just some old crow who used to hang around the bars, that's all. I used to talk to her once in a while.
You ever have any arguments with her?
No. How many times are you going to ask me that?
It'd help a lot if you could tell us exactly where you left Maria Christmas Eve and when you left her.
I told you already. I don't remember exactly. We were drinking. We were all drinking. I don't remember.
How'd you get to that party?
I walked. Place down on Malabar Street. Maria stopped at a bar someplace along the way, and that's the last time I saw her.
Did you go in with her?
No, she went in alone. I went to the party. That's all I knew.
Interrogation room Friday.
Lee Jones, Joe.
Yeah.
Check the polish on Perez's boots. It matches with the smear of polish on the victim's face. Wax components are exactly the same.
Good. How about the cast?
Nope, they didn't match. The prints we cast out there were size 11, big heel. Perez wears a 9, pretty small heel. No match at all.
What about the other stuff?
Went over the rest of his shoes, his clothes. Nothing that ties in.
Okay, Lee. Thank you. Do you shine your own boots, Tony?
No. Why?
Where do you get them, Shayne?
I go to Angelo's, Chicago Street, right near First.
When's the last time you got a shine?
Oh, Christmas Eve.
What time Christmas Eve, Tony?
When I got off work, about 2:30 noon.
Hi. Hi, Dave. See one of you outside a minute?
Yeah.
Perez telling the truth about the party. He was there. We timed out how long it would take him to walk from the restaurant to the party.
Yeah?
Pretty close. His friends say he got to the party about 12:30. Doesn't look like he had time to kill that woman.
Well, where does that leave us?
Still got those boots?
No more. They don't match the impressions at the murder scene.
Well, that makes us even, huh? Here's your key back. Didn't fit.
Tony Perez was held for further investigation. Dave and Claudio took up the canvassing of bars in the same area where we'd left off the night before. Ben and I drove down to Angelo's Shine Stand. It stood just outside a barber shop. 4 chairs with an awning full of cigarette holes over them. He identified Maria Camacho's picture immediately. We questioned him while he polished her shoes.
Maria, I used to tell Sergeant, running around like that, she had so many friends. Too many.
Did you see Maria on Christmas Eve, Angelo?
Christmas Eve? Well, let me see. No, last time was a few days before Christmas.
Angelo, do you know a man by the name of Tony Perez?
Tony? Sure. Tony Perez. Tall fella, big shoulder.
Was he one of your customers?
Yeah, all the time he comes to see me.
Was he here on Christmas Eve, Angelo?
Yeah, he was here. I gave him a shine. Good customer.
You remember what kind of shoes he had on?
Sure. Boots. He always wears boots.
What color were they, do you know?
Brown. Always wears brown boots. Well, what's the matter? Tony in trouble?
What kind of polish do you use on his boots, Angelo?
Well, I got the can down here. Yeah, this one here. High-grade polish. You got boots, I can fix them up.
Do you use the same polish on all the boots you shine, Angelo?
Oh, only the brown boots. That's brown polish. You fellas ask too many questions. You make me go too slow.
Well, there's no rush, Angelo. Can you tell me this?
Yeah?
Besides Tony Perez, was there anybody else with brown boots who got a shine from you Christmas Eve?
Well, I don't know. Lots of people get shine. Christmas Eve is pretty busy.
Just the people with brown boots, Angelo. Can you remember?
No, I don't think so. Tony was the only one with the brown boots. There's no others.
And how about heavy brown shoes?
Huh?
You remember the people with heavy brown shoes that came in for a shine?
No, I don't know. Look, please, just let me shine your shoes, huh?
That can of brown polish, Angelo, you say that's the kind you use on Tony Perez's boots?
Yeah, that's the kind. This kind right here.
Well, can you remember how many times you used that polish on Christmas Eve?
Well, I opened this can that morning. I can see how much is gone. Maybe I use it maybe half a dozen times.
Can you remember the people whose shoes call for this kind of polish?
Yeah, lots of them. Brown shoes. I know the feet when I see them. I don't know the faces.
Don't you remember any of them?
If they like the shine, maybe by and by they come back. There were 3 or 4 fellas, maybe. I see them before. I don't know their names. Okay, finished. You like it, the shine?
Oh, yeah, fine.
See, I'm going to buy that can of polish from you, Angelo, and we're going to check back with you later.
Okay. Here it is. That's fine polish, Sergeant. Best you can get.
Yeah, but it rubs off. December 26th, 5 p.m. We drove back to the crime lab and had Lee Jones analyze the can of shoe polish. It matched exactly with the particles of shoe polish taken from the victim's body and from the boots of Tony Perez. We arranged for a stakeout at Angelo's shine stand. In case the people with heavy brown shoes returned, Angelo could point them out immediately to the men on duty. 5:30 p.m. Dave and Claudio called in. They thought they had another nibble, this time from the bartender at the El Cedelo Tavern, a bar on Soto Street. We drove down to South Main and Harlem Place for a meet.
Hi, Dave.
Hi. Figured we'd better move on this tonight.
What's the pitch?
Bartender on Soto tipped me that Maria Camacho was in his place Christmas Eve. Said it was a little after midnight.
Huh?
Said she had a drink, left the place about 10 minutes past 12 with a guy called Frank Talano. Nosed around, found Miss Talano works at the Midnight Mission. Over there.
All right, let's go.
This it, Dave?
Yeah. Good Friends Mission.
Come in for a nice, warm, spiritual bath. Coffee and soup free.
Watch the stairs.
Yeah.
Now, brothers, I only hope that our little meeting here has brought you closer, made your souls to glow with the great and glorious light of the Spirit. And yes, brothers, if we be not born again of that light, as the book says, we'll be damned, brothers. Okay. Amen.
Amen.
Now, brothers, while Sister Myrtle Ferguson plays one of his stirring marches, let's join arms, brother to brother, and march into the lunchroom where, through the kind graces of one of our benefactors, Pete Boudouris of the Acropolis Cafe, each one of you will be entitled to a bowl of turkey soup, some of Sister Wilson's homemade bread, and a cut of mince pie. Sister Ferguson, march.
Guess that's the man to see.
Yeah, let's go.
Sure pack him in, don't they?
That soup smells real good.
Excuse me, sir?
Yes, brother? What is it?
Police officers. Do you have a Frank Delano working here?
Well, what's the trouble?
Does he work here?
Well, yes, he's a very good man, Frank. Anything wrong?
Is he here now?
No, he isn't.
Where can we find him?
Well, I'd like to know what the trouble is.
We'd like to talk to him, mister, that's all.
Well, he has a room at Good Friends Mission Annex. That's over on San Pedro Street.
Is that his permanent residence, the Mission Annex?
Yes, Frank's very helpful. He works for a small salary, and we give him room and board.
Is he over at the Annex now?
Yeah, but maybe you'd better not see him now, officer.
Why not?
Well, Frank's not at his best. He's been drinking again. That's the surest sign.
How do you mean?
Well, whenever Frank starts drinking, that means that he's worrying. He's one of those. He drinks to forget.
Yeah.
He's been drinking for 3 days.
He must have a lot to forget. Come on. 6:30 p.m. We drove over to the Good Friends Mission Annex on San Pedro Street. The man in charge told us that Tolano had a small room to himself at the rear of the second floor. Dave and Claudio went around to cover the Mission Annex from the back. Ben and I went up a narrow flight of wooden stairs. Plain white plaster walls were chipped and cracked and scrawled with pencil markings. We walked down to the end of a wide hallway to a brown paneled door with a transom above it. There was a man in soiled work clothes sitting on the bed. On the table next to him, there were 3-quart wine bottles. 2 of them were empty.
Get out of here. You Frank Tolano? What about it?
Police officers like to talk to you.
Get out of here. You're not taking me. I'll cut you to pieces.
Drop the bottle, Tolano.
Get out of here.
Drop the bottle.
I'll cut you to pieces.
Like you cut Maria.
I'll kill you.
Put it down, Tolano. Drop it. Get the cuffs on him.
Yeah. Let's go.
Just a minute. Yeah, it fits.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 7th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 94, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to extra mild Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, Extra Mild Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the king-size cigarette that is extra mild.
Extra mild because it contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild, to give it a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Enjoy Extra Mild Fatima yourself. Best of all, long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Frank Dominic Tolano was tried and convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. He is now serving his term in the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Patty Page visits Jack Birch tomorrow morning on NBC.
Okay, Shayne. Get the picture. A guy in front of you with a .38, a guy in back with a rifle, and you with nothing. If wishing will make it so, you better start wishing to be somewhere else fast, because...
Your director, Bill Russo, inviting you to listen to Michael Shayne, that reckless, red-headed Irishman back at his old haunts in New Orleans, in another transcribed episode. We call it The Case of the Model Murder.
Waiter, my compliments to the chef. This shrimp's superb.
Look, maybe I'm talking out of turn, Mr. Franklin. After all, you're hiring me, but 20 a day is mighty short wages for some of the things I get involved in. And I've learned that the phony cases usually have the biggest hospital bills.
Phony, Mr. Shayne?
Yeah, I get a message that you want to see me urgently. Okay, I come dashing down here, expecting you to be tearing your hair or dying from a leaky artery. So what do I find?
You find me in a seafood bar, enjoying New Orleans' most succulent river shrimp and sipping excellent dry Manhattan.
That's right. Then you give me a story about a girl, Marianne Chevney. I have to find her and bring her to her home by Friday midnight or she loses $8 million.
Is that too complicated?
No, Mr. Franklin, it's too simple. Instead of giving me any details, you go on chewing your shrimp.
And sipping my Manhattan. Waiter, one more of the same, dry. You sure you won't join me, Mr. Shayne?
Look, this picture you gave me, is it the only one you have?
The most recent, yes. It was taken a few weeks before Marianne ran away from home 7 years ago.
Oh.
She never got along with her father, you see.
What about this Friday business? Why Friday after 7 years?
Simply because Friday at midnight, Marianne will be 25.
So she's got to return home by then or she doesn't get her money.
Brilliant. Wait, another order of shrimp, please.
You're sure giving me a lot of time. This is Thursday. I got one whole day. Marianne's father was your partner, half-owner of Chevney Franklin Importers, huh?
That's right.
Chevney died over 3 weeks ago. Why the sudden concern now?
Oh, I haven't been idle. I've been running ads for the girl in the papers.
Yeah, you've been a busy little bee, you have.
Mr. Shayne.
All right. What happens to the $8 million if Marianne Chevney doesn't get home in time?
It goes into the business.
But you're the business now.
That's right. Don't look so perplexed. It's quite simple, really.
Yeah, something simple. You're hiring me to find her so that you can lose $8 million.
Precisely, Mr. Shayne. Wait up. Another dry Manhattan.
We'll return in a moment to the new adventures of Michael Shayne and the case of the model murder.
From the minute I walked into the seafood bar at the Carlton Manor Hotel and sat down opposite Franklin of Chevney Franklin Importers, I knew I was walking into something with more angles and, of course, in advanced geometry. My first impulse after hearing his story was to tell Mr. Franklin to go peddle his shrimp. Only I suddenly remembered that the only jingle I could raise in my pockets was the sound of my car keys rattling around. It seems his partner, Chevney, had died some 3 weeks before, and $8 million he couldn't take with him was waiting for his errant daughter, Marianne, who'd run away from home 7 years ago when she was 18. I was supposed to find the girl and bring her to her late father's house before Friday midnight, tomorrow night. Well, I took another look at the photo of the girl. The words Harrison Halstead Model Agency were stamped on the back. At least she'd worked there 7 years ago. I decided to give it a whirl. The receptionist was a sugar blonde with a cooperative look in her eyes.
Well, I sure would like to help you, Mr. Shayne, but I really don't know any Miss Chevney.
Well, you handle a lot of models here.
Oh, I tried.
This photograph help you any?
Pretty. No, I'm afraid not.
Taken 7 years ago.
I just bet you'd go for something a little older.
And you'd have a good bet. The boss around?
Well, yes, Mr. Shayne, but I don't know.
What is I want you... Oh, yes, sir?
Mr. Shayne's looking for a girl by the name of Chevney, Mr. Halston.
Sorry, I can't help you.
Oh, this photograph.
No. What do you want with her?
Well, she's got $8 million coming to her.
Sorry, Mr. Shayne.
Well, that's okay.
Miss Winters, get Miller on the phone, will you? He said he'll be ready at 2 this afternoon.
Yes, sir.
He recognized the photo.
Did he, Mr. Shayne?
You're a real good kid. Company girl, loyal.
Thank you.
Follow the rules.
Uh-huh.
Look, I'm just trying to help a penniless girl get $8 million.
Well, take one of our cards, Mr. Shayne. You just might want to come back.
Thanks. I don't have $8 million, but...
You don't need $8 million.
How much?
Just enough for a rare steak and baked potato.
It's a deal. Miss Winters struck me as a girl with the wrong name. Nothing chilly in her attitude. As for this Halstead character, he was one of those guys with a monogram complex. Everywhere you looked, you found H.H. staring you in the face. Harrison Halstead. on his tie, on the pocket of his shirt. Even the cigarette lighter on the reception desk had the same two H's sort of leaning against one another. And the agency card Miss Winters had given me, they were there, too. As I waited for the elevator, I turned the card over. The handwriting was nice and firm. Matey Carter, 2614 Mount York Avenue, might be able to help you. I thought, Shayne, how would you get along without that winning personality of yours? Matey Carter's place was a little bungalow in a court. There was a light on behind curtains. I rang the bell.
Yes?
Miss Carter?
What do you want?
I'd like to talk to you.
What do you want?
I'm looking for Marianne Chevney.
I don't know anybody by that name.
Miss Winters at the Halstead Agency.
I can't. I don't know her. She isn't here.
Easy. You better lower the volume. What'll the neighbors think?
Come in.
Thanks. Now, look, Miss Carter, I'm not trying to do anything but find Miss Chevney so I can give her $8 million.
She doesn't want.
Well, you see, it doesn't pay to keep secrets. Where is she?
I don't know.
Well, how do you know she doesn't want the money?
She told me.
Oh, you spoke to her.
No. I don't you leave me alone. I don't know anything.
Look, all I want... never mind, Miss Carter. Maybe I got a bum steer. Sorry I bothered you. I suppose I could have broken her down if I'd kept at it. But I suddenly found what I came for. There was an envelope face down on the desk. From where I was standing, I was able to read the return address on the flap. Big as life it was. The initials MC, apartment 5, and the address 318 East 54th Street, New York City. MC, Marianne Chevney. As I drove back to town, I began to get a familiar feeling. Maybe I don't have eyes behind my head, but I do have a little spot between my shoulder blades that's got a special talent. If somebody's following me, it begins to itch. It had bothered me a little right after I left the Halstead Agency, but I didn't pay much attention to it. And right now, it was giving me the squirms in high gear, and I decided to do something about it. I pulled off the main road onto a side street, but quick. I parked, doused the lights, and waited. Cars kept going by, and I spotted a maroon job with one light dimmer than the other coming around the block for the second time. This time, it went about 100 yards past me, and then it parked. I waited. Nobody got out of the car. The spot between my shoulders stopped itching. I knew I was on solid ground. I got out of the car and started up the street. I saw the guy behind the wheel of the maroon job looking straight ahead as if he had nothing better to do than just sit there. I pulled the door open and stood into the front seat. Huh?
What's doing, champ?
Nice tail job.
No?
Pro job.
Well, you're not so bad yourself. Spotting it.
New Orleans does that for me. There's a feel to the city. You must be from out of town.
Yeah.
Working?
Yeah.
Jonathan Franklin?
Never heard of him.
Franklin and Chevney importers. Bananas, I think.
I hate bananas.
Who is it?
You're doing all the talking, champ.
This is a tough town for strangers.
Not so tough.
You're not so tough either. All right, nice tie you got. Slips up nice and easy. You can't talk, champ, but you can sure listen. That's a very pretty color you're turning out. Let's see. Yeah, shoulder holster, 45 automatic. Okay, you can breathe now, but don't overdo it. And take a tip. I don't like being followed, and strangers in town ought to be courteous.
You're a pretty tough boy, Shayne.
No, I'm the easygoingest guy in the world. I just don't like being tailed. Remember, mind your manners when you're in a strange city, champ. Franklin was in the dining room of the hotel carving up some rare roast beef with Yorkshire pudding on the side. I dropped into a chair on the other side of his table and told him what I'd found out. As usual, he got real interested.
New York, eh? Will you join me, Mr. Shayne?
You're real worried about getting Marianne Chevney back here before tomorrow night, aren't you?
Oh, you can't rush things, my boy.
This case smells clear across the river. Don't you trust me, Mr. Franklin?
One moment, Mr. Shayne. Wait up.
Yes, sir?
Bring me a phone, please. You were saying...
I said somebody's been tailing me. I'd like to know why.
You're implying, Mr. Shayne, that because I don't trust you, I've hired someone to watch you?
In a nutshell.
That is not true. But the fact that someone is following you is very disconcerting.
Your telephone, Mr. Franklin?
Oh, thank you, waiter. Your pardon, Mr. Shayne. Travel desk, please. Hello? This is Jonathan Franklin speaking. Will you arrange for a charter plane with the New Orleans Charter Service, please? In the name of Michael Shayne. In about an hour. It's now 8:30. The plane is to go to New York and leave here at 9:30. Thank you.
Yeah, you're full of surprises, Mr. Franklin.
I've got another one for you.
Yeah?
If you succeed in bringing Marianne back here before midnight tomorrow, there's a $1,000 bonus for you.
Sometimes, Mr. Franklin, your conversation is positively brilliant. A chartered plane to New York and a $1,000 jackpot at the end of the rainbow. I felt like a captain of industry as the plane got the right of way from the airport tower and circled in for a landing. New York, great little city. It was 4 o'clock in the morning when the taxi pulled up in front of 518 East 54th Street. I told the cabbie to wait. What's money to me? Took the stairs of the brownstone 2 at a time. Apartment 5 was at the end of the hall on the first floor. I knocked. Nothing happened. I knocked again. Nobody could sleep like that. Then I tried the door. Locked. Apparently Marianne was a dirty stay-out late. Across the hall, the door to apartment number 4 said manager. I walked over and started knocking again.
Well, what is it? What is it?
I'm sorry to get you out of bed all the time, but I'd like you to open the door to apartment 5.
Are you crazy waking a body at 4 in the morning?
Look, I'm a private detective. I'm looking for the girl who has that apartment. I want to get in, so I'll be there when she gets home.
Private detective? Huh? I'm sorry. If it was a police, it'd be...
Does this give me the necessary rank?
$5.
All right, make it 10.
Well, why didn't you tell me he was a private detective in the first place? Come on. Hey, light switch in there. There.
Yeah.
Make yourself comfortable.
Thanks. Here's your pound of flesh.
You won't tell her that I let you...
What's the matter with you?
There. Over there. On the floor in the hall.
First, I saw a lot of blonde hair. And then I saw there was a girl attached to it. She probably would have been real pretty without that bullet hole in her forehead.
We'll return in a moment to the new adventures of Michael Shayne and the case of the model murder.
A glutton by the name of Jonathan Franklin had waved an ice-cold scent in front of my nose, but strangely enough, it still had a strong odor. My assignment was to find Marianne Shebney and get her back to her late dad's home so she could collect $8 million, according to the terms of her inheritance. Well, I picked up the trail at the Harrison Halstead Model Agency where Miss Shebney had once worked. Mr. H.H. and his secretary, Miss Winters, acted like I was after atomic secrets. As I left, Miss Winters shoved a card in my hand with the name and address of Mady Carter. Well, Miss Carter had the willies bad, but I picked up the information that the girl I was looking for was in New York. Franklin stopped eating roast beef long enough to charter a plane for me. And I arrived at the end of the trail just in time to find my quarry still warm, but with a bullet in her head.
Oh, my... Police, we'll have to call the police.
Yeah, but not before I make a phone call long distance.
Well, it won't be long now, will you? Because they get real mad. If you don't tell
long distance, I want you to get me Mr. Jonathan Franklin at the Carlton Manor in New Orleans. Collect. Michael Shayne at this end. That's right. This is Circle 65970.
Yeah, my reputation. You know this will be in the papers, don't you? Be police all over the place and reporters.
Yeah, and her blood stains a nice carpet,
yeah,
too. I feel real sorry for you. Hello? Hello, Mr. Franklin.
Yes, what is it, please?
Take your earmuffs off. You might like to hear this.
What is it, Shayne?
Just a second, Mr. Franklin. Look, old-timer, don't you have a telephone in your own apartment?
Yes. Well, I never thought of that.
Well, think of it.
Well, Shayne?
The gal is dead.
Really?
Yeah, what do you want me to do?
Come on home. You've done a good job.
You're not sorry?
No. Should I be?
What about the $1,000 bonus? I guess that's cold turkey, huh?
We'll talk about it when you get back.
Yeah.
Cold turkey, did you say?
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned it. That's an excellent thought. With a glass of cold milk, of course. Goodbye, Mr. Shayne.
I had a little time before the cops had come, so I started moseying around the apartment. First thing that caught my eye was a cigarette lighter on an end table. It looked familiar. Very familiar. All of a sudden, I knew why. There was a monogram on it. Yeah, 2 H's sort of leaning against each other. I got the long-distance operator again and put in a call to Mr. Halstead, also collect.
There is no answer.
Are you sure you got the right guy?
Harrison Halstead's residence in New Orleans, Orange 240.
Thanks, operator.
Shall I try later?
I didn't know how, but it was pretty obvious that Halstead was in this thing up to his ears. I kept on wandering around the living room, and then I found it. There was a letter on the table in a girl's handwriting. The date was just 2 days ago, and the letter started with the words, Dear Matey. I didn't have to read the signature to know it was Mary Ann. I took a good look at the girl on the floor. Her hair was blonde, only there was about a 1/16 of an inch of dark brunette showing at the hairline. I got real smart then. I finally figured it out. This girl was Matey Carter, and the frightened girl back in New Orleans was really Mary Ann Chevney. Only somebody else had apparently made the same mistake, and it was my guess he was hightailing it back to New Orleans to correct his error. I made a quick call to homicide to pay my respects and then headed for the airport. Luckily, the plane was ready to go when I got there. Oh, Shayne, you had the girl in your hands and then you waltzed off with a dream. One thing was clear. Mary Ann Chevney had plenty to worry about. It took me just 10 minutes from the time I landed back in New Orleans to get to her place. The door to Mary Ann's bungalow was locked and there was no answer to my banging. I started around the house trying to get a look-see inside. Nothing. Nobody home. When I got around to the rear and peeked in the bedroom, I saw why. The place was empty. Either she decided to run or else she'd been taken on a trip without a return ticket. I scrambled over to Carlton Manor, and guess what? Yeah, Jonathan Franklin was eating.
It seems you made a mistake, Mr. Shayne.
How do you know?
The papers. Wasn't Mary Ann who was killed in New York. It was a girl by the name of Carter, Madeline Carter.
You still want me to find Mary Ann?
Oh, of course. Let's see. 3 now. You only have 9 hours left. Would you have some lunch? Will you, man?
No, thanks.
Don't you ever find time to eat?
Yeah, but I'm peculiar. I only eat 3 meals a day. Mary Ann Chevney's life was in danger, and I wanted to get to her while she was still hale and hearty. I drove over to Halstead's agency. Miss Winters still had that cooperative look.
Well, hi there.
Hi, where's your boss?
Out.
Been in today?
Well, no, as a matter of fact, he hadn't.
Did you try to reach him at home?
Yes, I did.
He wasn't there.
Oh, is something wrong?
Something's very wrong, sweetheart. Look, that note you slipped me last night.
Not the kind I usually write.
Matey Carter, you knew I was looking for Mary Ann Chevney.
Well, I said Matey Carter might be a help. She's a friend of Miss Chevney's.
You didn't know there was a switch?
Switch?
Matey Carter was in New York. She was killed last night.
Killed?
Halstead could have taken a plane up there last night, couldn't he?
Well, I don't know.
As far as you know, he could have, couldn't he?
Well, yes. I haven't spoken to him since last night.
Tell me, is he a bachelor?
Yeah.
Lives alone?
Uh-huh.
In town or in the country?
Both.
Oh, he has a country place. Where?
Well, I'll tell you in a minute. You want me to look it up?
You bet I do, sweetheart. If I'm not too late, it might make the difference between a long and wealthy life or a 45 slug to Mary Ann Chevney. It took me almost an hour to drive out to where Halstead had his beach home. The place had a real subtropical flavor, bordering on the Gulf and surrounded by a mass of lush undergrowth and stubby cypress trees. I didn't bother to announce myself. I just barged in. She'd been here, all right. There was a woman's jacket over a chair in the big paneled living room, and her purse half open on the floor. I went to the back door and opened it and looked out. Bounced off a stone, and I caught a glint of the bullet as it whined off on its ricochet. It had come from the left. I ducked back into the house. She had shells to burn, whoever he was. There was no sense in my perching like a sitting duck, so I started toward the front. The living room had been empty a moment before, but now there was a man in it, a man with a gun. Halstead.
Stop where you are, Mr. Shayne, and raise your hands.
Where's Mary Ann?
It's none of your business. I said raise your hands.
Now, look, Halstead, don't be coy about this thing. There's a guy out there with a gun, a big gun, and he's got big ideas.
So have I. Move back. Against the wall.
Look, who's working for who around here?
You're sticking your nose in where it doesn't belong, Shayne. I told you yesterday if there was anything about Mary Ann Chevney you ought to concern yourself with.
What did you do with her?
Let's just say she's in protective custody.
Yours?
As I said, that's none of your business. Hello, champ. What's doing?
Still tailing me, huh?
Yeah. And this time, no necktie. Very bad taste. Huh? Drop that rifle.
I don't think so.
You ought to practice more. You missed.
Oh, this is real cute. Champ is in the kitchen with a rifle, and you're in here with a pistol, Halstead. You both have a grudge against me, only you can't stop worrying about each other.
Shayne, who is that man in the kitchen?
I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, but I think he's after Marianne, too. Aren't you, Champ?
Could be, but right now I get more flinch. Missed again. Just stick your head in that doorway once more. Now, Mr. Shayne, I'll give you just 3 seconds to tell me what you want.
I told you.
I want the truth now.
What difference does it make what I want with the girl if you're already...
All right, Shayne, I warned you.
We'll be back in just a moment with Mike Shayne and the thrilling climax to our story.
It was a second or two before I realized Halstead had fired at the laddie with the rifle, not me. But I wasn't inclined to administer first aid to Champ lying in the kitchen doorway because from the look on Halstead's face, he was getting ready for a repeat performance. And then I got a shock. Like when the shower suddenly turns from hot to cold. Marianne, the real Marianne, stepped into the room and went over to Halstead. I figured it was time to call a halt and settle who was who. Hello, Marianne.
You killed Matey.
No, the Champ in the kitchen, it was his work.
Why don't you leave me alone, all of you?
All I've been trying to do is bring you back to your father's home by midnight tonight so you can inherit the $8 million he left you.
Marianne and I were married last night, Shayne.
What?
Now the matter of her inheritance is my business. So why don't you leave us alone?
I will if Marianne or Mrs. Halstead will go back to her father's house.
But why, Mr. Shayne? Why should I go back there?
Well, if the $8 million doesn't mean anything to you, the 1,000 I stand to collect means plenty to me. I knew it was the right time, 6 o'clock, when I walked into the dining room of the Carlton Manor. Jonathan Franklin was having breast of guinea hen under glass and a white wine.
Well, won't you sit down? I'll have to wait to get you.
No, thanks.
Yeah. You look calm and relaxed, Mr. Shayne. Success.
Yes.
Splendid. And Marianne?
I found her. And her husband.
Her husband?
That's right. Oh, your boy is down at headquarters, Mr. Franklin.
Headquarters? My boy?
Yes, the Champ. He talked when he came to. He got a little overeager after he trailed me to Halstead's beach house, and Halstead winged him.
Oh.
The way I figured, it wasn't a question of Marianne getting back to her father's home before her 25th birthday.
No? This wine is delicious. 1929 Sauterne.
No, it was a question of whether or not she'd reach her 25th birthday. And that's why you had me searching for her, to find her so you could have her killed before she did.
Now, you're not going to spoil my dinner.
You know, there's an old saying, Mr. Franklin, the foolish person eats himself into the grave.
You say he talked?
Yes. He told us why he'd been following me. So that if I found Marianne, he could kill her. He told us how he was sent to New York before I left. Oh, I should have guessed that, Mr. Franklin. It only takes 10 minutes to get to the airport from here. Why make the charter for an hour later?
You have a point.
And there was only one person besides myself and Marianne who knew the address of Matey Carter in New York.
I should have thought of that, I suppose.
You finished with your dinner, Mr. Franklin? Because if you are, there are some men waiting for you in the lobby. Homicide detail.
You're spoiling my digestion, Mr. Shayne.
Doesn't matter, Mr. Franklin. From now on, you'll be eating crow. Hearty appetite.
Mike, what I can't understand is why Mr. Franklin was so eager to get his partner's money. He must have made the same amount himself. After all, $8 million.
That's enough bait for anybody, sweetheart. With his appetite, maybe he needs $16 million to keep in groceries, especially with prices the way they are today.
Oh, Mike. Sugar, you're cute.
Now on, eat your steak. And will you have red wine served with it? Waiter, a sparkling burgundy, domestic, year of 1948.
This is your director, Bill Russo, again. Our story is based on characters created by Brett Halliday. The music is composed and conducted by John Duffy, and Michael Shayne is portrayed by Jeff Chandler. The New Adventures of Michael Shayne is a Don W. Sharp production, transcribed in Hollywood and distributed exclusively by the Broadcasters Guild. Next week, you'll hear Michael Shayne in another thrilling adventure from mysterious and colorful New Orleans.
Novak For Hire.
Sure, I'm Pat Novak. For hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak for hire. Down on the waterfront in San Francisco, billing doesn't mean much. Everybody's got the same act. They're all out to turn a fast buck, and when you're in business down here, everything but murder is a parlor trick. Once in a while, your eyelids get sore from winking it too much, but it's a living. You get to meet the best people in town. There's only one hooker. You're liable to wake up some morning dead. Because around the waterfront, you don't need a union card for trouble. It sneaks up and paws you like a wet ghost. I found that out when I met Bruno Weiss. I closed up early Tuesday night, and I went home to catch up on last month's sleep. I don't know how long I was in bed. Must have been about 11 when I woke up. The room was dark and as stale as last year's Christmas candy. I had the goofy feeling that somebody was in the room with me. I was breathing kind of hard, and I stopped to have a listen. Somebody was sitting on my bed. Either that or the landlord had put in an echo. I listened again.
Hello, Novak.
You're mixed up, friend. I pay the rent here.
Get your hands away from the light, Novak. Just be a good boy, and you can collect your old age pension.
Now, look, I'm not crazy about waking up with strangers sitting on my bed, especially if they got baritone voices. Now, say your piece and beat it.
Don't get jumpy, mister. When your eyes get used to the dark, you're going to see a gun about a foot away from your nostrils. I want the keys to your boat, Novak.
Get them in the morning at $25 a smell.
I want them now. Just tell me where they are. I'll do the rest.
Don't get big-hearted.
I don't want chatter and cocktails. I want those keys. Unless you want your face to look like a rump roast, you'll start talking.
The keys are in the bottom drawer of the desk.
That's the boy. Gonna bother your boat a while. You'll get it back by noon tomorrow. There's the boat keys.
2 of them are. The rest open the front door of the U.S. Mint.
Sorry I can't stay around, Novak. You sound like a card. Sleep tight, Novak. This'll have to do for a lullaby.
He didn't even give me time to pick a dream. I stretched out on the floor as dead as a Philadelphia nightclub. I don't know how long I stayed out of the ball game. Must have been a couple of hours, because when the phone rang, it was past midnight. I reached over to pick it up, but my hands were as steady as a maple leaf in a hurricane, and my head was big enough to sell by the pound. I finally found it in the dark and started talking. Hello?
Hello, Novak. This is Joe Powers down at Pier 19. You awake?
Sure.
You just sound groggy.
Oh, it's a sedative. What's on your mind?
One of your boats just drifted in. Guess what?
I don't have to. It's smashed up and you want to offer me $50 salvage.
Hey, that's right, Novak. You're psychic.
I'm a patsy, you mean? Some gunsel borrowed the boat a couple of hours ago. Came in here, told me a bedtime story, and took the keys.
You better hop right down here.
It'll keep, Joe.
No, it won't. Hurry up or you'll run a dead heat with homicide. There's a dead guy in the boat.
Well, it must be my playmate.
I don't know. He didn't say. But you better grab a cab and get on down here. There's going to be a lot of questions.
Sure. If you meet any good answers, save a couple for me. From now on, there was no waste motion. I knew that. If homicide was on the case, that meant Inspector Hellman. Well, he's a real nice guy, if you like his type. I had to do something soon. If I didn't, I'd have about as much chance as a pound of liver at a cat show. So I jumped into some clothes, and I was starting out of the apartment when I missed my wallet. The keys were attached, and that gunsel had taken the whole works. I began to get mad. For $70, you can get a Scotch hangover instead of the kind I had. And if you're lucky, a couple of good memories. So when I drew up at Pier 19, it didn't look like the sunny side of the street. Joe Powers was waiting for me.
You got the first round, Patsy. Homicide hasn't showed yet.
I'm full of luck tonight. Where's the boat?
Oh, right over here.
Lots of fog tonight, huh, Joe?
You're walking on it. Well, there it is. How's your insurance, Patsy?
All right, except I'm not carrying any on that dead guy. Who is he, Joe?
I don't know. He's your passenger. You roll him.
All right, give me a hand. No, push him over on the other side, will you, so I can get in the pocket?
Is he the same guy that took the keys?
I don't know. If he is, he never looked lovelier. There's nothing in this pocket. This one's empty except for a comb. He sure spent my $70 in a hurry. Must have thrown in the wallet for a nightcap.
No identification.
We should have bought a scorecard.
Hey, here on the floor. It's a key.
Let me see that, Joe. Room 425, Royal Arms Hotel.
Where is it?
That's a dive down on Turk Street. Well, say hello to homicide for me.
Oh, you're not bright tonight, Novak.
Well, I'm not going to stay around here. They'll pick me up faster than a gin fizz.
What am I going to tell them?
Anything you like, Joe. Shift into freewheeling and let them follow, but I'm not going to hang around for a pinch. I'm one boat and $70 short.
Tell it to homicide.
I don't like manual labor that much. See you later. I started for the Royal Arms Hotel. And on the way, I picked up the only honest guy I know, a bottle baby by the name of Jocko Madigan. He's a good man, except he thinks it's a waste of the taxpayers' money to put alcohol in torpedoes. I hauled him out of the Hunt Room bar, and we walked down the street to the Royal Arms Hotel. It was the perfect spot for a missionary. The lobby looked like the first act of Rain. There was a pinball machine in one corner, a couple of last year's girls in this year's slacks, and a bleary-eyed little night clerk. He looked like a well-groomed laundry bag, and he gave us the fisheye as we started upstairs. Room 425 was down at the end of the hall. Jocko didn't care if we ever got there.
Patsy, we have no business coming up here. We're in search of fool's gold.
We're in search of my $70.
Exactly. I view you as my penance, Patsy, the sackcloth for a misspent life.
If you can shake off that buzz, you'll find out I'm in trouble.
You'll always be in trouble because you're a patsy, and you're dangerous because you move in the twilight zone between good and evil without any predisposition toward either one.
Yeah, all right. Here it is. 425. Nobody home. Let's go in.
It's housebreaking.
Now, look, Jocko, I want my $70. I'm going in.
Patsy, sometimes you terrify me. I think you'd pick the lock to the gates of heaven.
I would if they had my $70. Come on. The guy's dead down in my boat. We won't hurt his feelings. We'll just nose around a minute and get up. It was a pretty room if you like dead women on your rugs. She was stretched out in a pale yellow dressing gown, as quiet as an April morning and twice as pretty. A dull red scar ran across her temple where somebody had laid an iron shovel. She didn't belong in this hotel because she was wearing a necklace and a bracelet that left a gap in somebody's pocket. And from the ringside, she looked all right. Jocko noticed it, too.
She has lots of character.
Yeah, but where's my $70?
She's a nightclub dancer.
How do you know?
Her picture's plastered all over the wall there. She's the headliner at El Palateo, Miss Rita Malloy.
I wonder who the guy on the desk is there.
Boyfriend, probably. Let's get out of here, Patsy.
Oh, wait a minute. How about that dead guy in the boat? Where does he fit in?
I'll listen to that one, Novak.
Oh, Hellman.
What happened to the girl? She die laughing at you?
It's Rita Malloy, a piece of change from the El Palateo.
Uh-huh. Got a hat, Novak?
No.
Then you're all ready. Come on.
Oh, get your brain lined up and look at her. She's been dead a couple of hours.
You're still eligible, Novak. On your way down, you can explain that guy at Pier 19.
Oh, you can't be that dumb, Hellman.
I'm smart enough to see you peeking over the 8-ball. You look like a 10-to-1 shot, Novak, and I got my money on you all the way.
If you're going to make this thing add up, you can't do it alone.
I'll try.
Well, that's what Firpo said. So I don't look good on this one. I'll look worse if I leave it up to you. You couldn't find a hangnail if you knew what hand it was on.
You got 24 hours, Novak. I'm going to piece things together, and then I'm going to make a pinch. Pick out a soft spot.
Yeah?
Yeah. Stay near the phone. If it rings and a man answers, that'll be homicide. Good night.
Hellman was right. I looked like a sure bet for the rotogravure section. I was beginning to run out of silver linings, and I knew it. I didn't have an answer for anything. The guy in the boat was still a stranger, and Rita Malloy was still dead. I was sitting in the middle of a high-stake game with a pair of trays. When we left the hotel room, I had the funny feeling that there was something wrong back there. I didn't know what. I just knew there was something wrong, the way you feel when you pick up the wrong hat and put it on. The position of the body, those pictures on the desk, I didn't know, but there was one detail that didn't set right. Well, I told Jocko to hang around headquarters, and I started for the El Palateo. It was like all the rest. A little melancholy bar on Mason. A fire trap with a cover charge. The decor looked like early Franco. The floor show was on as I fought my way up to the bar. Excuse me, please. I'm sorry, lady. Can I get through here, please? How about a drink?
Your idea? What do you want?
Scotch.
Soda or water?
Water. You got a nice club here.
We like it. 80 cents.
Too bad about Rita Malloy.
Yeah?
You don't seem heartbroken about it.
I'm not a mother. 80 cents.
Anything wrong, Eddie?
No, boss. This guy's crying in his beer about Rita Malloy.
Oh. I'm Eddie Ryan.
You own the club?
A piece of it.
My name's Novak. Call me Patsy at the moment. The police think I killed Rita Malloy.
When you go on trial, Mr. Novak?
I don't. That's why I came down here to find out which one of your people killed her.
I see.
She was mixed up to her ears with some thick hoodlum.
You, Mr. Novak?
No, a guy right out of your set. He came rolling in with the tide this morning, playing rigor mortis all over my boat.
Look, Novak, you better go see someone else to tell your troubles to. I'm a busy man.
Yeah, well, so am I, getting out of a murder rap. You knew her, Ryan. In fact, I got an idea you knew her pretty well.
Let's not talk that way about the dead.
Your picture splattered all over her apartment. Were you engaged to her?
That's one way of putting it.
You better have a big fat alibi ready for tonight. Homicide's going to think you killed her.
I'm betting on you for the finals, Novak. I don't need an alibi. She was a friend of mine.
That's why you need one. People just hate their enemies, but they kill their friends.
You better stay out of the public library, Patsy. You're not smart enough to understand epigrams.
I'm smart enough to find out where you were from 10 o'clock until midnight.
Go ahead. Circle around the club. But keep a drink in your hand. We run for profit.
I didn't get much out of the doorman. He wanted a first mortgage to talk, but one of the busboys opened up. He told me that Ryan and the girl had brawled the night before. Also, that Ryan left the club for about an hour tonight. Well, I put him on the list anyway. But it began to look more and more like a one-horse race. Well, I got one other lead. A clarinet player in the band wanted to harmonize with Rita Malloy, but there wasn't much else to go on. And then I spotted the gal who had taken Rita Malloy's job in the show. She was just finishing her number, and so I followed her back to a dressing room. When she opened the door, I got a nice warm feeling like a melted cheese sandwich, and I was looking around for a rope to hang on. She was pretty. And when she said hello, you knew it was time to send in the varsity.
Good evening.
For some people, you mind if I come in?
It's late in the season. I can't be choosy.
All right. I'm Pat Novak.
I'm Tony Drake. What do I do? Tremble?
Talk, mostly. Did you know Rita Malloy?
Around here, that was an occupational hazard.
The police think I killed her.
Did you?
No. When I got there, they were tearing down the goalposts.
Oh, that's too bad. I'd have been very grateful.
It's something I'd like to try.
Are you switching the topic, Mr. Novak, or have I been in the big city too long?
I just want to know who killed her. You got any ideas?
Nope.
How about your boss?
Maybe. She was getting a little frayed around the edges.
How's his temper?
No worse than a cobra's. He might have done it, but I doubt it.
Anybody else?
He was putting in a little overtime with a thug.
Not a big, porky guy with a deep voice?
I never saw him. I just heard that he was trying.
Must have been quite a line. Anybody else? How about that clarinet player?
No play. He was just a salmon swimming upstream.
I see. Well, do me a favor, will you, Tony?
All right. You only get one, so make it a good one.
They're tailoring me for a trip over the hill unless I show up with a fistful of answers. Now, can you give me a list of all of Rita Malloy's friends?
I can write them all down on a piece of confetti.
I mean everybody close to her. The people around the club here, the people on the outside. I'll pick it up in a half hour at your apartment.
At my apartment?
Yeah, at your apartment.
All right, don't get sore. I was just inquiring, not complaining.
All right. One other thing, Angel.
Yes, Patsy?
Don't forget to put yourself on that list. Be seeing you. Well, it was good to get out of there. When she started walking towards you felt like a shovel full of scrap iron in a Pittsburgh blast furnace. Well, I called up Jocko at headquarters. He didn't seem to be worried about me. He was thirsty. The guy on the boat hadn't been identified yet. The coroner said he died of severe bruises and that Rita Malloy checked out with a fractured skull. I gave Jocko Tony Drake's number, and I started for her apartment. I couldn't have done better with Aladdin's lamp. She had the list and a bottle on hand. I went over the list with her, and then it turned out she had insomnia. The radio was turned down to room temperature. I was working on my fifth drink when the phone rang.
Oh, let it ring, Patsy.
Oh, I better get it, baby.
I think you're a sissy.
No, prison pallor wouldn't look good on me. Hello.
Patsy?
Yeah?
Are you busy?
Well, depends on your point of view. What's up?
I'm not tearing you away from that list of suspects.
Let's have it, Jocko.
They just identified the dead guy on your boat. His name is Bruno Schweiss. He's wanted in Miami, Florida. He's a hired gunman.
Good. Now jump over and see Paul Stangl at the Chronicle Morgue, huh?
I already have. There's no tie-up between Bruno Schweiss and Rita Malloy.
There's gotta be. Those two killings are tied up like ham and eggs.
Hellman just got a report from the Harbor Patrol. They found a buoy knocked out of place. They figure your boat did it and Bruno got killed in the crash.
What does that do to things?
It clarifies them enormously. This way you're going to hang for only one murder. Good night, lover.
I knew Jocko was right. Hellman could rig me as long as he had only one case to work on. He's a single-celled animal, and this was just about big enough to fit into his brain. Well, I left Tony's apartment, and I walked over to the El Palateo. Must have been about 4 o'clock in the morning. It was still dark enough for me to kick in a back window without being seen. I headed straight for Manny Ryan's office, and I started going through his stuff. It was like trying to separate a ton of salt and sugar dumped in the same bin. I went through most of the drawers, and in the last one, I got a hold of something. I grabbed the phone on Ryan's desk, and I called Hellman. Well, I wasn't sure, but I figured he could try this one on for size anyway.
Police headquarters.
Give me Hellman and homicide.
Yeah.
They must have put their best men on his trail because they found him inside a half hour.
Hello, Novak.
I'm in Manny Ryan's office. He owns the El Palateo. I just rifled his desk.
It's a minor offense for you.
I got a hold of last month's phone bill. Guess what?
It's too high.
The office put through 2 calls to Key West, Florida, the last part of this month.
4 o'clock. I'm barely interested. Go ahead.
Bruno's Weiss hired out as a gunman. San Francisco is a long way from home plate. That means somebody sent for him.
And you're trying to put the finger on Manny Ryan.
That's right. That silver frame you picked up at Rita Malloy's, take a look at the guy in it. That's her boyfriend, Manny Ryan.
We'll check on it. In the meantime, keep squirming, Novak. You look pretty.
Oh, you're smooth, Hellman.
Smart talk's not going to keep you out of the chair, Novak. Stay handy. We've only got a short extension cord.
Yeah, well... Hello, Hellman. Hello, Lupos? Frank, is Jocko Madigan there? Good, put him on, huh? Hello, Jocko. Now listen, I'm up at Manny Ryan's place. Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure, but I think that Ryan's... My head must have looked like a jackpot. Everybody in town was hitting it. I rolled over and played dead for about 5 hours. It feels better when you've had a dress rehearsal. I woke up in my apartment. The sun was streaming through the window and hit the bed. I looked like the muslin counter after a sale. It turned out I was the host and didn't know it. Jocko was sitting at the table having breakfast. The bottle was almost half shot.
Good morning. How's the other world?
Can't you leave that stuff alone?
Do you have a headache?
Of course I have a headache.
Well, I haven't, so stop lecturing me.
How'd I get up here?
I dragged you here by the heels. I met all the other hucksters on the way.
All right, stop being funny and help me up, huh?
I am the victim of a common error. You don't like me because I'm not entertaining when I drink. You don't object to my drinking. You object to my lack of wit.
Oh, shut up.
Well, it's discouraging to be condemned on moral principle when it's really a flaw in nature. By the way, I think they're going to arrest you for the murder of Rita Malloy.
What about Ryan?
I've recommended clemency.
All right, come on. What about Ryan?
You bungled it. By the time Hellman got to him, he had an alibi all framed. The calls to Key West could have been made by anybody in the club, and Ryan's covered for the time of the murder.
How about the others?
They look good, too. Your girlfriend, Tony Drake, was gone for a while the night of the murder. Hellman won't bite. She's just sitting there ready to spring an alibi.
That's right. With legs like that, she can dig up a cousin.
You better get worried, Patsy.
I am. The El Palateo is a dead-end street. I don't know where to go from there. That guy Bruno in the boat could help. There's some connection between Bruno's Weiss and Rita Malloy.
You're the only connection I can think of.
Yeah.
Hello, Novak. This is Hellman.
Yeah?
You were right about Bruno's Weiss and Rita Malloy. We just went through her safety deposit box.
I'll bet you handled the money.
She had a clipping on Bruno's Weiss from a Miami paper, 1937.
Go on.
Divorce action between Weiss and Miss Olga Pryor.
Well, did you look up Olga Pryor?
That's where we run out of gas. Nobody knew her. We have no description.
Well, how about Rita Malloy? Any dope on her before 1937?
I was going to ask you. You were in the room with her when she died, don't you know?
No, I don't.
I'm disappointed. I figured you'd know a little about her habits.
Huh?
You wrote the book, mister. I figured you for an answer.
Yeah, I got one. And you just gave it to me, Hellman.
Huh?
Meet me at the El Palateo in a half hour. Now, if you're a real good boy, I'll tell you who killed Rita Malloy.
Are you going to be there?
Yeah.
That's all I want to know, Novak.
Things were falling into place like a fixed roulette wheel. Right from the first, I knew that there was something goofy about the picture in Rita Malloy's hotel room. I wasn't sure. I just knew I had something in the back of my mind. I didn't tumble until Hellman tipped the mitt. And then everything was cakes and ale. I sent Jocko up to room 425 in the Royal Arms Hotel, and I told him to get a description of every dress in the closet. I checked at the desk, and I got the name of Rita Malloy's cleaners. I ducked over there, and I got a list of every dress that she turned in for 3 months. I met Jocko, and we compared the list of dresses. Well, it jibed fine, except for one thing. There was a missing white dress. It had been to the cleaners before. It wasn't there now, and it wasn't in that hotel room. Well, we went over to the El Palateo to find it. Jocko didn't want to buy the scheme at all.
Patsy, I protest the notion of breaking into a lady's dressing room.
Stop worrying, will you? She's not going to be there.
Then it's futile as well as immodest. Besides, how do you know Rita didn't throw away the dress?
I'll give you better than track odds on that one, Jocko. Here we are. Come on. Now, look, you take the closets and find that white dress. I'm going through the desk for grease paint.
You should be going through a woman's closet. It's more in the nature of things.
Just look, huh? There's enough grease paint here for the whole Iroquois tribe. Did you find anything?
Yes. What's this?
Just look for the white dress, Jocko. Hey, what's that in the corner?
Where?
Over here.
I don't see anything.
Well, down here, look, see?
Oh.
Well. That feels good, doesn't it, Jocko? Like a spell of perfect weather.
Same grease paint?
Well, it won't take us long to check. Here, you open a couple of these jars.
Don't forget your apron, Patsy.
Hello, Tony.
What are you doing?
Getting ready to build a fire under you? You're going to make nice smoke, too.
I liked you better when you were dumb, Patsy. You don't look good with a Ph.D.
Oh, put away the gun, baby. Remember, this is your second trip to the plate.
Give me the dress, Patsy.
It won't fit.
Don't worry about that. Just toss it over by the door here.
I'll do better. I'll bring it.
Stay where you are, Patsy.
It's my ticket out, chum.
You're a good guy, Patsy. Stay out of my way.
It's your role, baby.
Patsy, please stay away from me.
Come on, give me that gun.
Patsy, please.
Give me that gun.
Sorry, Patsy. That's all I could do.
Yeah, sure. You want to take a look at her, Jocko?
Put her down on the floor.
Yeah. What do you say, Jocko?
No dice.
Well, you can't win them all, Tony.
You play too rough, Patsy.
You still got a good batting average, Novak.
Hello, Hellman. You better make a fast pinch.
She do it?
Yeah.
She got kind of clumsy in the last round, didn't she?
Not at all, Copper. They had me coming and going. When you're as far back as I am, they don't pick up the option.
Let's get out of here, Jocko. I'll check with you later, Hellman.
Be a good boy, Patsy. I'm going to miss you. You were getting to be my favorite hobby.
Yeah.
I don't know how you were on the distance stuff, but you were sure something on the sprints.
Yeah. Be nice to her, Copper. She could go in the mud herself. Well, it was blackmail, of course. Tony was once married to Bruno's wife. Rita Malloy found out and started to squeeze Tony. Well, Tony wouldn't buy that, so she killed Rita Malloy in her hotel room. She made one mistake. I didn't tumble until Hellman mentioned a woman's habits. Then I knew what was wrong with that picture back in Malloy's hotel room. It hit me like a discordant note in music. Rita Malloy was lying on the floor in a dressing gown, but she was still wearing her bracelet and necklace. Well, when a woman undresses, she always takes her jewelry off first, and then she takes off her dress. Rita Malloy didn't do that, so I took a flyer and decided that somebody had taken the dress off her and put on a dressing gown. Why? Well, because there was something wrong with the dress. It pointed too much in one direction. Well, it could be a lot of things, but probably grease paint. Tony called Bruno out here. He was supposed to use my boat to dump the body, and when he didn't make it, Tony got scared and lugged away the dress. My $70? Well, it would have looked better on a fixed fight. Well, Hellman asked only one question. How did I happen to know that when a woman undresses, she always takes off her jewelry first? I must have read it somewhere.
The Armed Forces Radio Service has just brought you Pat Novak For Hire, starring Jack Webb. Pat Novak is produced by William P. Russo. Jocko Madigan is played by Tudor Owen. Inspector Hellman is played by Raymond Burr. Music was composed and conducted by Basil Adler. Be with us again next week when over most of these same stations we'll bring you Pat Novak for Hire. Pat Novak for Hire was previously released by ABC, the American Broadcasting Company, for listeners in the United States, and rebroadcast for our men and women overseas. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Closed my office door behind her, started walking slowly toward me. Her lips looked warm. Her eyes looked cool. Matter of fact, everything about her looked awfully good to me, except for one thing. That big black gun she was pointing at my belt buckle.
New Adventures of Michael Shayne, Private Detective. Michael Shayne, reckless, red-headed Irishman, is back again in his old haunts in New Orleans. This is your director, Bill Russo, inviting you to listen to another transcribed episode, which we call The Case of the Wandering Fingerprints.
Yeah, what'll it be, Bud?
Huh? Oh. Nothing. I'm just waiting for somebody.
Nothing. Look, Mac, you're in a bar. People usually drink in bars. That's what we're in business for.
Okay. Give me a bottle of pop.
A what?
A bottle of pop.
That's what I thought you said.
Look, Junior, do you mind?
No.
Thanks.
Mike Shayne?
Yeah.
I'm Ziegler. Bring your drink over to the table here.
Okay.
Been waiting long?
Just a couple of minutes. Well, let's have it. You said on the phone they'd be going.
That could be.
Look, Ziegler, let's not play guessing games. What's your pitch?
You and I are going to be partners, Shayne.
Partners? What do you mean?
I've got a little proposition you are going to go for.
You know, you sound awful sure of yourself.
Oh, I am.
Well, let's have it.
All right. Know anything about electrolysis?
Look, I'm no chemical engineer.
I am, sort of. Enough of one to have figured out this process.
Look, will you do me a favor? Start at the beginning.
All right. I've got a process by which I can transfer fingerprints.
You can what?
Transfer fingerprints. From one place to another. Any place.
You're nuts.
Am I?
Can't be done.
Don't take any bets on that, Shayne. You'd have to pay off.
Look, I tell you, it's impossible.
It's simple, if you know how. So you dust the prints with a certain chemical powder. You follow me? You take a picture of them, then make an electrolytic plate from the negative. Then dip it in acid, then you make a mold from liquid rubber. And there you are.
Where?
With a little rubber stamp of somebody's fingerprint.
Look, I don't know anything about this chemical double talk you're giving me, but the whole thing's impossible. You just can't...
Like I say, don't take any bets. Now, here's where you figure. We're going to start a little fingerprint service. We sign up various clients. They all pay an initiation fee, a large one, as a matter of fact.
Just a minute. What do these people get for signing up?
Well, it's not so much what they get if they sign up. It's what they get if they don't.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Their fingerprints turn up in the wrong place.
Exactly.
Beat it.
Now, Shayne, that's not a very wise attitude.
If you think I'm going to be a front man for a blackmail racket...
That's an ugly word, Shayne, but that's more or less your job. To locate promising clients for me.
I said beat it.
You know, you're not being smart at all.
Look, maybe you didn't hear me.
All right, I'll give you a little time to think it over. But you'll come around.
Yeah? Don't you take any bets on that.
Oh, you'll come around, all right. Because, you see, you have no choice. And before very long, I think you'll see exactly what I mean.
In a moment, we'll return to Mike Shayne and the case of the wandering fingerprints.
Well, you run into all kinds, I guess. But that day, I'd hit the jackpot when a character named Ziegler told me to meet him in a bar and offered me the charming job of being a front man in a friendly little blackmail setup. I still didn't believe he could transfer fingerprints like he said, but he sure seemed convinced of it. I turned down his deal in a hurry. He implied I was making a large-sized mistake. Then, as I sat at the table watching him leave, I saw him stop at another table near the door. There was a cool-looking brunette sitting there alone. Ziegler said something to her and jerked his head in my direction. The brunette favored me with a long, cold frown. Then Ziegler left, but the brunette kept dissecting me with her eyes. I got the hunch that she was in the deal some way with Ziegler. Finally, even though the expression on her face was pushing me back, there was just too much there for me to stay away from. So I picked up my glass and went over to her table. Hello?
The answer is no.
What did I ask?
What else would you call it?
Look, maybe we'd better run through this again from the beginning.
Why?
Well, maybe we'll come out with a different answer. One that makes a little more sense.
The answer will still be no, and that makes plenty of sense to me anyway. Good night, Mr. Shayne.
Yeah. I sat there with my mouth open while she walked out the door. I was one puzzled guy. What that little conversation was all about was way beyond me. Either I'd missed a few key words here and there, or else the girl was passing up a great career as a mind reader. The bartender came over to the table about then and started picking up the glasses, so I left. It was still early, and I suddenly felt like doing a little of the town. So I called a redhead I know and asked her if she was busy. She wasn't, so we took in the town. The next morning, feeling chipper as a school kid on Saturday, I tripped down to my office, opened the door, picked up the mail on the floor, and started for my desk. Then I stopped. The chair behind my desk was rocking slowly back and forth, and it was occupied.
Hello, Shayne.
Well, Inspector Lefevre. Inspecting again?
Sit down.
Yeah, thanks. You decided to move your headquarters here, or is this a social call?
Wrong twice.
Well, it's early yet. I'll sharpen up. Now, let's see. What could it be this time? Murder? Maybe robbery?
Robbery.
Arson?
Huh? Robbery.
Look, I was kidding.
I wasn't.
No, wait a minute, Lefevre. What goes?
You know an old family named Chartier, Shayne? I live in the quarter.
Chartier? No, why?
Sure.
I said no.
Haven't paid any social calls on him lately? Say, last night?
Look, I told you I don't know. Why would I be paying him a call?
Just trying to give you a break, Shayne, but you won't even go halfway.
What are you talking about, Lefevre?
I'll tell you. Last night, the Chartier home was broken into. Bunch of jewelry was stolen.
What's that got to do with me?
I don't know yet. Maybe plenty. We found your fingerprints there.
My Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Inspector, there must be some mistake. My fingerprints couldn't have been there.
Shayne, fingerprints are sort of a hobby with us. There wasn't a mistake. They're your prints.
How come? I don't know how come. Oh, no, it couldn't be.
You're pretty hard to convince.
Well, that's not what I meant. I meant... Skip it. It'd sound like it was right out of a book.
What would?
Look, Lefevre, I didn't rob the Chartier home. Give me credit for more brains than that.
I had given you credit, Shayne. That's what puzzles me.
Hey, any idea what time the robbery took place?
Between 12 and 1.
Yeah, you know, I'm awfully happy to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Alibi?
Yeah, I had a date with a redhead.
Yeah. You happen to remember her name?
Of course, she's a friend of mine. Patty Bannock-Kirkin.
Patty Bannock. Now, Shayne.
Look, could I make up a name like that?
You could. We'll check it.
Yeah, I know you will, Inspector.
And, keep in touch, huh?
Yeah, I know. Don't leave town.
Mm-hmm. One more thing.
What is it?
How about a little shot of oil for your chair?
Well, as usual, the inspector left me with a lot of questions and no answers. Not even an answer about the squeaky chair. I sat there for quite a while trying to figure out another logical explanation. And I finally gave up. As far as I could see, there was only one answer. Ziegler was able to transfer fingerprints. And he'd taken this very quaint way of proving it to me. I spent a little while in a half-hearted search for a can of oil and gave up. I guess I must have been staring unhappily out the window for maybe 15 minutes when I heard a slight noise behind me. I turned around and looked up. There, standing beside my desk, was my friend Ziegler.
Hello, Shayne.
You again.
Me again. You had a visitor a little while ago, didn't you? Inspector Lefevre.
So?
What does he want, Shayne?
He just heard a new joke and had to run right down here and tell me.
I think he wanted to tell you about that robbery at the Chartier place. And about your fingerprints being there.
Okay. I don't know how you did it, but...
Very simple. I told you. My process.
Yeah, your process. Look, you may not realize it, but I was just lucky enough to have an alibi for last night. If I hadn't...
Oh, but I do realize it. I know you had an alibi. And that's just the way I wanted it.
You what?
Certainly. I didn't want you to get into trouble. This time.
Look, I don't get it. But I don't want to get it. This little game you're playing, it's not going to work. I told you once, I'm not going to be front man for your blackmail pitch, and I still mean it.
You know, you are hard to convince. Well, I guess I have no other alternative.
What do you mean?
Oh, just that I'd hate to have the same thing happen to you that happened to Al Metcalf. You have heard of Al Metcalf, haven't you?
Yeah, I've read about him in the papers. He's on trial for murder.
That's right.
Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me that...
I'm just pointing out that Al could have been a partner of mine. He had the same opportunity you have. But he was difficult about it. He turned me down. Cold. So?
But they've got a case against him. It's 3-2. He'll be found guilty.
Oh, yes, indeed. And it's interesting, isn't it, that most of the case against him is his fingerprints at the scene of the crime.
You mean you deliberate... You planted them?
I wouldn't want that to happen to you, Shayne. So don't keep me waiting any longer.
You don't exactly leave me much choice.
Right. So you're my boy, Shayne. From now on. And don't ever forget it. Inspector Lefevre's already had you on the carpet for robbery. Think of the fun he's going to have when he gets you for murder.
In a moment, we'll return to Mike Shayne and the case of the wandering fingerprints.
Well, it all started when a character named Ziegler offered me a partnership in a fingerprint-planting blackmail corporation. I declined without thanks, so Ziegler promptly planted my fingerprints at the scene of a robbery, thereby bringing Inspector Lefevre into my office for an antisocial call. The inspector left after a few minutes to check my alibi, and then Ziegler dropped in. He told me he could, if necessary, plant my prints at the scene of a murder, like he said he'd already done with a guy named Al Metcalf, who, as a matter of fact, was facing a murder rap right now. Well, that sort of weakened my opposition. Ziegler pronounced me his boy. He told me to meet him that night in the same bar, and he'd give me my instructions then. After he left, I grabbed the phone and called Inspector Lefevre.
Homicide, Lefevre.
Shayne, Inspector.
Yeah. There is a Patty Batterkirk.
Oh, wait a minute.
And you were with her last night. So you're in the clear on that robbery, I guess.
Thanks.
I don't get it at all. Say, incidentally, what's Patty so mad at you about?
That's not what I called you about, Lefevre. Look, you're holding a guy named Al Metcalf on a murder rap.
You've been reading back issues. Metcalf's been our guest for weeks.
Well, it's a bum rap, Inspector. Metcalf's innocent.
Real, Shayne?
I tell you, he's innocent.
Shayne, I'll make you a little proposition.
Yeah.
You run your business, we'll do likewise.
Look, I'm trying to tell you Metcalf's fingerprints were planted at the scene of the murder.
Yeah.
Oh, I know it sounds phony, but it's the truth. There's a guy named Ziegler who can transfer fingerprints. He transferred mine to the scene of that robbery, and he framed Metcalf for this murder the same way.
Shayne, you're missing a real good bet. The pulp magazines are just crying for guys who can come up with stuff like that.
Okay, but I'm telling you, Lefevre, Metcalf's innocent. And what's more, I'm going to prove it to you. All of which was easier said than done, of course. I went over to the library and spent an hour or so reading up on the Metcalf case in the papers. I copied down the names of most of the people involved, and then I started out. The first guy I tried was a pawnbroker.
Sure. No doubt about it. Metcalf's the guy who bought the gun from me. The gun that killed Joey Krause.
I checked out the pawnbroker's name and went to see the woman who'd been the dead man's landlady.
I saw this Al Metcalf go into Mr. Krause's room that night, just about 5 minutes before the shot was fired. And Metcalf was the only visitor Mr. Krause had that night.
The next guy I tried was a character named Dixon, who used to be a pal at Krause's.
Motive? Sure, Metcalf had a motive. A girl named Bunny. She was Metcalf's girl. Then she got to running around with Krause. So Metcalf knocked off Krause. But take my word for it. Don't go bothering Bunny, because she's my girl now.
Yeah, all the answers were the same. Al Metcalf was guilty. He really had killed Joey Krause. Well, about then, I got on the trail of a very interesting thought. Wild, but interesting. But also about then, my watch said 8 o'clock, and I was due at the bar to meet Ziegler. Well, I didn't have any more time for meditation. But I knew that somehow, some way, I had to find a weak spot in Ziegler. Something that'd give me a club, too. And then I thought of a gag that might just possibly give me that club. It was old, but it could work. Ziegler was sitting at his table waiting for me. As I walked over to him, I could see he didn't look very happy.
Sit down, Shayne.
Thanks.
You're late.
A little.
I don't like people to be late. What kept you?
Look, in case you don't know it, I work for a living.
What kept you, Shayne?
I was conducting a little investigation.
Who for?
Me, okay?
Shayne, you have quite a few things to learn about working for me. Your attitude, for one thing. It'll have to change. But we'll let that go for now. I've got a list of people I'm going to give to you. I want you to contact each of them and sign them up. You can start...
Cigarette?
Thanks.
Here's a light. Help yourself.
Thank you. Now.
Just one thing.
What is it?
The girl.
What girl?
The brunette who was sitting over near the door the last time I talked to you here.
Oh, you mean Susan?
Do I?
What about her?
That's what I'm wondering, where she fits in.
Well, let's just say that you and she and I will be sort of in business together.
I see.
Why?
Oh, just after you left, I went over to her table.
Well?
Yeah. I thought we might make a little light conversation, but she wasn't having any.
She can be difficult. Shayne, all this talk about nothing in particular, I somehow get the impression you're trying to stall me. That would be very foolish, Shayne.
Yeah, Ziegler, I've been trying to stall, but it hasn't worked, so I'm not going to stall anymore. Okay, give me that list. I'll go to work. He grinned, gave me the list, and left. Yeah, I was right. I wasn't going to stall anymore. Because that stray thought I'd started working on before had come back. And what brought it back was my remembering I'd taken my drink over to Susan's table that time before. Yeah, I was pretty sure I had the answer now. But pretty sure wasn't sure enough. I scooped up my cigarette lighter and went down to police headquarters. I dropped the lighter off in one of the offices so the boys could admire it. And then I went to see Inspector Lefebvre. Oh, that boy just loved to swing back and forth in desk chairs. He was at it again.
Come down to tell me why Patty, what's her name, is mad at you, Shayne?
I came down to tell you I was wrong, Inspector.
About Patty?
No, about Al Metcalf. He's guilty, all right.
Well, now, that's real good to know.
Look, Metcalf's fingerprints were at the scene of the murder, huh? Where were they?
Plastered all over the place.
Yeah. Now, my fingerprints were at the scene of that robbery at the Chartier house. Mm-hmm. Where were they?
Why?
Believe me, Lefebvre, I'm asking you the $64 question. Where were my prints?
On a glass.
Yeah. Thanks, Lefebvre.
No charge. Oh, you leaving?
Uh-huh. I gotta see a girl named Susan.
Need any help?
No, this is sort of a private deal.
Sure you don't need any help?
Sure. There is one thing, though.
What's that?
A chair of yours could stand a shot of oil, too. I walked out before he could think of an answer, but I had to hurry. I picked up my lighter and a few interesting facts with it and went back to my office. I tried to figure out how I was going to find Susan, but I needn't have bothered, because just about then my office door opened. In came Susan. She closed the door behind her and started walking slowly toward me. Her lips looked warm and her eyes looked cool. Matter of fact, everything about her looked awfully good to me, except for one thing, that big black gun she was pointing at my belt buckle. Well,
You just won't take no for an answer, will you, Shayne?
let's not start that double talk again.
I tried to tell you before it was no deal.
Look, do you have to keep pointing that gun at me? And what's no deal?
The setup with Ziegler.
Oh, I think I get it now. You don't like the idea of anyone else working with you and Ziegler, is that it? Well, look, Susan, I don't like the idea...
You've got a great sense of humor, haven't
Humor?
you?
I don't think it's very funny.
Neither do I.
Look, maybe I'm stupid, but none of this makes sense.
Stay where you are.
None of that little palaver we had the other night in the bar made sense either.
I said stay where you
So
are.
you're working with Ziegler. I still don't see why...
Oh, I'm working with Ziegler. That's a laugh. You're the one who hates... Hey, get back!
Too late, sweetheart.
Let go of me!
Better. It's too big a gun for a lady to be carrying around anyway. Or aren't you, lady?
Oh,
Hey, no, not that. Now, look, stop it, will you?
All right.
That's better. Now, let's get this thing straightened out. You're not working with Ziegler?
Of course not. He threatened to plant my fingerprints and implicate me in a murder.
Well, I'll be... You too? Oh, sucker. Me to sucker.
You see, I could have been implicated, too. It was all innocent enough that I could have been made to look bad.
Yeah, we're both in the same boat. And in fact, it's sort of nice in here.
You can let go of me now.
But I still don't see how Ziegler could have gotten that glass with my prints. I thought you took it. Hey, wait a minute.
You can let
that bartender. The one who was so anxious for me to buy a drink. He came over to our table and picked up the glasses right after you left. He gave it to Ziegler. He's our boy.
Oh, Shayne.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I seem to have a hold of you. Maybe...
Maybe we gotta wind up this Ziegler business, huh?
Yeah. Well, with an incentive like that, how could I lose? I charged over to the bar, but the bartender I was looking for was off duty. I got his address, though, and went over.
Yeah, what's up? Oh, it's you.
Yeah, it's me. You go on, beat it, man. I'm coming in. Cut it out. Come on, kid.
Ziegler. Close the door, Jim. Okay. And Shayne, back up against that wall over there.
Well, looks like I hit the jackpot, Ziegler.
Yes. And it's such a pity, too. Because this machine isn't going to pay off with anything except a slug.
In a moment, we'll be back with a thrilling climax to tonight's Michael Shayne adventure.
Well, there I was. I'd figured out the whole deal, but at the moment it looked like there wasn't much future in being a genius. One look at the bartender and Ziegler showed me they didn't think so either.
So you figured out my little scheme, eh, Shayne?
Yeah, lucky me.
You know, I thought the mention of the Metcalf case was going to keep you in line.
You pulled that one out of the headlines and tried to make me think you had something to do with it.
It seemed to work for a while, anyway.
Yeah, until I found out Metcalf really was guilty.
We're wasting time, Ziegler.
The rest wasn't too tough. I have to admit it was a pretty slick little scheme.
I thought so.
Planting that glass with my prints, then making me think you'd transferred the prints from one place to another.
Ziegler.
Oh, incidentally, you were so interested in the general subject of fingerprints, you got me interested in them, too. Yours.
Mine?
Uh-huh. I got them off my cigarette lighter. Remember, you used it.
Clever.
And the boys down at headquarters did a little checking for me. I found out a couple of cities are interested in you. Topeka, for one. A bunco charge there, I think. You're always a man for a fast deal, huh?
You're very thorough, Shayne. I admire it. But... all right, Jim.
Yeah. The bartender picked up an empty bottle. Then he held it by the neck, swung it onto the side of the table, and broke it. That left him with a jagged stub in his hand. He started toward me with it. I don't like broken glass, but there wasn't much I could do. I raised my arm in front of my face.
Take care of him, Knight.
Well, Shayne? Well, Inspector Lefevre. How'd you know?
When the boys reported to me that you'd brought in some fingerprints belonging to this guy, Ziegler, I thought maybe we better find out what was cooking. So we tailed you. Right into the oven.
Inspector, would you believe it if I told you I was awfully glad to see you?
Yeah. Shayne.
Yeah?
It's a good thing you didn't need any help. Huh?
No comment. Well, that was just about that. Lefevre told me I was in line for some $500 from Topeka. The reward posted to Ziegler. So I was really on top, and I went busting back to my office to tell Susan to pick up where we left off. Susan. When I got there, she was gone. I waited, but she didn't come back. I'm still waiting. You know, somewhere along the line, that girl must have read the old fable about getting somebody else to pull hot chestnuts out of the fire for you. Not that I minded that so much, but at least she might have flipped a few shells my way. Oh, well, there's always Penny Batterkirkin, I guess.
This is your director, Bill Russo, again. Our story is based on characters created by Brett Halliday. The music is composed and conducted by John Duffy, and Michael Shayne is portrayed by Jeff Chandler. The New Adventures of Michael Shayne is a Don W. Sharp production, transcribed in Hollywood and distributed exclusively by the Broadcasters Guild.